Reggie, you want, we call the meeting NCIP.
Spit it out.
Miss one meeting and you forget everything. Call the NCIP meeting of April 25th to order. Reggie, if you could read the how to participate in the whole book that we have to read every time.
Yes. All right. How to participate in this meeting. Members of the public may submit comments to engineering-admin@monterey.org until a half hour before the start of the meeting. The messages are not read aloud during the meeting, but are made available to the meeting body and the public at the monterey.org/submit-comments. Okay, participation in person. You are welcome to wear a mask at the meeting. Remote via Zoom Gov webinar. You can join on a computer or smartphone at monterey.org. I'm sorry, monterey-org.zoomgov.com. And then there's an updated, you have to have an updated version of Zoom software must be used. If you're going to join on the telephone, dial 833-568-8864, toll free, and enter webinar ID 161-313-7270 #. If prompted to enter a participant ID, press #. To raise your hand, dial *9. Once called upon, dial *6 to unmute. You will need to do both. And if you need help using or updating Zoom, there are instructions on the Monterey website. This meeting is also streamed live for viewing only on youtube.com/City of Monterey with a 10-second delay, and on Comcast channel 25 with up to a 90-second delay. And then for public comment, a total amount of time allotted for public comment on a particular issue for an individual speaker is up to 3 minutes per speaker, and we can have up to 30 minutes for public appearance items and public hearing items. So we generally have, if it becomes more than 10 people, we can reduce the time basically. So that's the instructions on how to participate.
Okay, do we have roll call, please? And just actually, before we start the roll call, just the one note that Mr. Tipton was going to be in present here, but he's going to be at home instead. He not feeling well. So rather than affect all of us, he opted to stay home. That also means while participating, I believe he can't vote for things because he's not an official attendee since the address was not published. So we can go ahead and have a roll call, please.
Aguajita Oaks. Present. Alta Mesa.
Present.
Casanova Oak Knoll.
Present.
Deer Flats. Del Monte Beach.
Here.
Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande.
Here.
Downtown.
Here.
Fisherman's Flats.
Here.
Glenwood.
Here.
Monterey Vista.
Here.
New Monterey. Oak Grove. Old Town.
Here.
Skyline.
Good evening.
And Villa Del Monte.
Here.
There's one in every group. Do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Okay, in which case the next item on the agenda is public comments. This is a time set aside for any member of the public to address the NCIP on matters within our purview which are not on tonight's agenda. So if it's anything related to a project in the first half of the neighborhoods that we'll be going over tonight, you need to wait until that time to address the commission. I don't think we're going to have a problem with the overall number of people, so just go ahead and call the first person up. Jean?
Thank you. Multi-neighborhood is not today, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I think I'm at the right time and place.
You will have time next meeting to do multi-neighborhood
Yes.
comments, but
Do that. Jean Rash, speaking as the Monterey Vista Neighborhood Association president. just a little plug for the undergrounding projects, your consideration. They're always high within Monterey Vista neighborhood. The fuel reduction and undergrounding are key interests of ours. I commend to your evening reading the fire study by our Monterey Fire Department that was just made available to us late in January of this year, the Community Wildfire Protection Plan for your evening reading, except you won't fall asleep if you're from District 3, Skyline or Monterey Vista, because we're right at the top, of course, of the hit list for fires. And it's very sobering. You all know this, but it's on our minds all the time. We've got the slope, we've got the winds, you know the whole drill. So I commend to you your consideration for the undergrounding projects, and also remind you that Monterey Undergrounding, which is a resident-based organization, has their presentation on undergrounding at Kona Monday evening, 6:30 to 7:30. We're going to start on time, end on time. It's a great slideshow and discussion on beginning and continuing. We have some undergrounding in Monterey, but continuing an undergrounding program. And it's of great interest. The people on the Monterey Undergrounding are from Monterey Vista neighborhood, Old Town, and New Monterey. And we welcome anyone to join us. It's all online every third Monday of the month for about 5 or 6 years now. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And also, Reggie, if you could note that I believe New Monterey is now present online. Any other member of the public wishing to address us on items not on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public comment section, go to next item, which is approval of the minutes from April 11th. No, I looked. No one with a hand, there's no one with a hand raised online.
Correct. No raised hands online.
So approval of minutes, April 11th meeting. Anyone have comments, changes, corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the minutes.
It's been moved by Skyline. Do we have a second?
Second.
Fishlat seconded. Any further discussion? Not, roll call, please.
Aguajita Oaks,
Abstain.
Alta Mesa,
Aye.
Casanova Oak Knoll,
Aye.
Deer Flats, Del Monte Beach,
Aye.
Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande,
Aye.
Downtown,
Sorry, abstain.
thank you. Fisherman's Flats,
Aye.
Glenwood,
Aye.
Monterey Vista,
Aye.
New Monterey,
Aye.
Oak Grove,
Aye.
Old Town,
Aye.
Skyline,
Aye.
Via Del Monte.
Aye.
Motion carries. The minutes are adopted. If we could also note for the record that Oak Grove is present now as well.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is information reports and staff comments.
Yes, so we have, I have to share my screen here. Give me 1 second. We have a presentation. We have a couple presentations tonight. So we'll start with item number 2, which was potential conflicts for committee members. And I apologize for getting this out rather late in the week here, I think yesterday. So we went through the various projects and identified where there was proximity to committee members' home residences, identified 19 projects with some potential conflict. And I would just say, with the exception of the 3 projects that in downtown that have been confirmed, we still have to have city attorney review these. So, you know, if there's an objection or concern, you have an opportunity to voice that. So where we are right now, AM01 in Alta Mesa, the representative for Alta Mesa has a potential conflict. COK05
I do with what?
with, it's within 1,000 feet of your home, and there's potential monetary impact to your property.
I would respectfully disagree that a new
Okay.
sidewalk put in over 1,000 feet away from my house is going to change mine in
It's
any
within
respect to
1,000
anything
feet.
else.
But as I said, you have an opportunity
Okay.
to, they have to still be reviewed by city attorney.
It needs to be reviewed by city attorney.
Okay. COK05, the alternate for Casanova Oak Knoll has a potential conflict. Del Monte Beach 07, both the representative and alternate have a potential conflict. Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande, DMG 02, both the representative and alternate. Downtown, DT04, both the representative and alternate, DT09, the alternate. DT12 and 13, both representative and alternate. DT15, the alternate. DT19 and DT21, both the representative. And I see Kurt has his hand raised.
Yeah, go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, my question, Reggie, when you say a conflict, are you distinguishing 500 feet versus 1,000 feet? Because last year, there was a definite difference between a property that was 500 feet within the residency, my residence, and one that was within 500 to 1,000 feet.
So yes, there is a distinction. So if you look in the agenda report, the ones that are within 500 feet identify 500 feet clearly in the table. And then the
Okay.
ones that are within 1,000 feet are generally the one that's identified as property interest.
That's perfect. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And for the general public who may be listening, if it's within 500 feet, it is a conflict
Within, there are some exceptions.
with
Yes.
some minor exceptions. The 500 to 1,000 basically needs to be reviewed.
Correct. Okay, well, then that would be something that we could review.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you're not a property owner, you have no vested interest in the project, so.
All right. Moving, just, like I said, this was my first run through, and there's an opportunity for review and comment. Fisherman Flats 01, the representative and alternate have a potential conflict. Monterey Vista 04 and 05, the representative has a potential conflict. New Monterey 0, oh, go ahead.
So, just to let know, so 05 is, has been, or the submitter has withdrawn that project because they just got back from Europe and they want to reorganize for next year to get the whole neighborhood involved.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if this is the right time, but MV05 can be crossed off the list for this year.
Okay.
Also, I believe that at least half of the parcels within my neighborhood are within 500 feet of the green belts.
So that would
It's the whole
be,
neighborhood is
that
a
would,
safety
that
item.
would be a reason to, but
So forward it on to the city attorney, let her make a decision.
right. New Monterey 09, the representative has a potential conflict. New Monterey 14, the alternate has a potential conflict. Multi-neighborhood 03, the representative has a potential conflict for New Monterey. And in Villa Del Monte, BDM 01, both the representative and alternate have a potential conflict, and BDM 02 and multi-neighborhood 03, that would be the fire station in Villa Del Monte. Both the representative and alternate have a potential
I guess
conflict.
And I'd
Mike,
like the city attorney to confirm those.
and also my question is when it's a multi-neighborhood project,
It's based on the proximity to the residents.
Correct, but then there's also the percentage of parcels within the thing that front on that project. So if it's going through a good chunk of the city, I'm just curious how we're going to calculate that.
Okay, well, I mean,
It's
these
just,
are
it'd
all,
be interesting to get the read from the city attorney, how we would do that.
okay, so that's the 19.
And just for the commissioners to remember, if it turns out to be a conflict, then you're not allowed to participate in any way, shape, or form in that project. And on voting night, we do the projects which have conflicts first, one at a time, so that people who have conflicts could step out for the vote for that one project and then come back in, and it's a lot of fun.
I feel like last year they had to like turn their.
They
I
had
don't
to
know,
like mute or turn
mute
off
their
or,
screen or something,
yeah,
yeah.
it's, but they basically can't participate in any way, so. If we can do that. Okay, so, yeah, we have a lot of feedback we need back from the city attorney before voting night. And actually, the sooner the better, because we're not supposed to be even talking about him here today if that's the case. Move on to item number 3, which is our main reason for being here tonight, which is the second review of the first half of the neighborhoods, which is the public comment timeframe. I think the way we'll work it, we'll go neighborhood by neighborhood with staff making a comment on the opening of any changes or any other aspects. Then we'll open it to the public for up to 3 minutes on any project within that neighborhood that they want to address. Then we'll close the public hearing on that neighborhood, then open it to the commission for any additional information or aspects. And then we'll move on to the next neighborhood. Does that sound good for everyone as a way of working? Okay. So that said, first neighborhood is Alta Mesa.
Correct. And just before that, just to give a little context, so we had a grand total of 69 new projects nominated in this cycle, 31 returning projects, total of 100. And prior to this meeting, we had 4 projects withdrawn. So I guess now we have a 5th. So we have 95 projects moving forward with a total cost estimate of $28 million. So you'll see those cost estimates on the individual projects. And just for reference or comparison, last year we had roughly 20 million in estimates for the projects.
And we have about 14 million in funds this year.
10 and a half,
10 and a half,
10.5.
okay. I kept wanting to add 4 more, almost.
Right.
So needless to say, a lot of projects will not be funded ultimately, but everything's being considered. So.
Right, correct.
let's-
So in the first half of the neighborhoods, we have, again, with this most recent withdrawal, we now have 51 projects that we'll be reviewing this evening. Actually, I think it'll be 50 because we had a downtown project also withdrawn today.
Okay.
So it'll be 50. And then as of right now, it'll be 43 in 2 weeks.
Okay.
All right, so there are no projects in Aguajito Oaks. So Alta Mesa, there's 1 project. That 1 project is the installation of a sidewalk at Alta Mesa Road and from Alta Mesa Circle on Alta Mesa Road up to El Dorado. Roughly 800 linear feet of sidewalk at a price of $200 per linear foot, a rough estimate of $160,000. So this is the 1 project. in
Does that
Alta Mesa.
include the 8 ADA ramps?
It's general, yes, that it
Okay,
would be
good.
generally
Better than I
included.
thought it was going to be. All right. At this point, we'll open it up to general public for input and comments. Any member of the public who wish to address us on it, please come forward and state your.
My name is Valerie Morrow, and I'm the person who petitioned for this primarily because I live at the juncture of Alta Mesa Road and the Circle. I've only lived here 4 years. And I've been appalled at the velocity with which people drive up and down the street. We live in a neighborhood, Rick lives in the same neighborhood I live in. We're primarily elderly people. And people walk
I
their
don't think
dogs.
I'm elderly, but that's
Well,
okay.
I'm elderly. I'm elderly. We're older
Sorry.
people, okay? And I was just so shocked to see that there was no safe place for anybody to walk on a thoroughfare as busy as El Dorado is. El Dorado coming up to Alta Mesa, and then the circle, I see Amazon trucks spinning around the circle. I see people that don't know where they're going, speeding up and realizing they're going the wrong way and spin around. We have UPS, and then we have a lot of people that take shortcuts to get up on Moonrush or go to the mall. And I didn't realize that this big swatch of land that is in front of our house actually belongs to the city. Because when we had our property surveyed recently after a tree fell on our house, I said, wow, there's this big swatch of land that belongs to the city. Why don't we have a sidewalk here where people can walk their dogs, where people can actually be safe walking downtown? So I decided that I had nothing to lose putting a petition in just to see if that was a consideration. I know a lot of people think sidewalks are not aesthetically pleasing. I personally think they make life a lot safer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morrow. Is there any member of the public wishing to address us on Alta Mesa 1? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Just some further input for the committee. I walked the site with Reggie. Basically, what you see on the screen, it will have a section of the wall removed. Will come down through there, cross over to the other side of Alta Mesa Circle, and then cross one of the entrance areas to trying to connect to the existing crosswalk that's there. And there'll need to be ADA ramps on all ends of it. We're in the process of having a petition put together and be taken to the, I believe, 5 property owners that front the project to ensure that there's input from all of them as to whether or not they support it or not. So you'll have that before voting night.
Question,
Yes.
isn't there a wall on the other side too?
Yeah.
But you're only going to remove one wall on one?
Well, we're coming through the wall. The sidewalk's only on one side of the street.
Is the cost due to the length
That and 8 ADA ramps.
and all the ramps?
Actually, I thought it was going to be higher than that. I'm kind of surprised it's only that much.
And is the sidewalk consistent with other areas in the neighborhood?
There are no sidewalks whatsoever in this neighborhood. And the association board has formally taken a position against, just for the sake of information. But again, we have not surveyed all of the actual neighbors who are impacted from it coming in front of their house to gauge the opinion. There's most definitely an issue of speed of vehicles going up and down that section of road without question. Like many neighborhoods have with, especially delivery trucks that trying to get through and do all their deliveries and get home earlier.
Do you know why the neighborhood association opposes it? Aesthetics?
I don't know formally, but I believe it's aesthetics. There are none in the entire neighborhood, and we have fairly wide streets for it, and it's just, there's been no call for them in the past. Although the sidewalks coming up to the neighborhood along El Dorado are actually a previous NCIP project. Well, our current curbs throughout the neighborhood are the rolled curb. So I don't envision that changing, but then again, I'm not the engineer designing the project. Reggie?
And we have examples of sidewalks with roll curbs throughout the
Okay,
city.
perfect. Yeah, I think to change the curb would further be a cost that's not needed and would totally change the look within the neighborhood as well.
Standard curves, slow down. They're easy.
Yeah. But it's more than anything else, not having people walk in the street when they're walking their dogs and going for the, and there are a lot of walkers in the neighborhood. So. Any other questions or input or?
Oh, well.
Okay, let's move on to the next neighborhood, Casanova Knoll.
Yes, there are 6 projects in Casanova Oak Knoll.
Also, before we start, and just so you know, there is no action actually tonight on the rest of it. So if you wanted to go home, you know.
Right, yeah, it's just
I
discussion.
didn't see you rushing for the door, so I wanted to make sure you're going.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead, Reggie.
yes, all right. There are 6 projects in Casanova Oak Knoll. And 3 of those 6, or actually 4 of the 6 are sidewalk projects. 1 is a duplicate. And at the request of Richard, we're combining those sidewalk projects. So COK 01 is a sidewalk panel along, which is this space here, 5 foot, roughly $1,000 patch of would be a patch of concrete. A 70-foot section here at Casanova Avenue and Melway Circle. And then the third one is a little bit longer. It's roughly 110 linear feet from this driveway to the curb to this intersection for $22,000. So you have a total here. You can see 185 linear feet of sidewalk, again, using that rough estimate of $200 per linear foot. So here, these $37,000. And then we have matching funds for the North Gap bike pedestrian path. The specific request was for $250,000. And then COK 05 replaced 2 radar speed signs on Airport Road. Our current estimate for radar speed signs is $12,500 a piece. So for these 2, it's $25,000. Those are the Casanova Oak Knoll projects.
Okay, do we have any member of the general public who wishes to address the commission on any of the Casanova Oak Knoll projects?
We have 1 online comment. We have 2 online.
Okay, first will be from Robert Yoha. Go ahead, Mr. Yoha.
Hello, good evening. In 1990, the Neighborhood Improvement Program put sidewalks into our neighborhood onto Euclid Street. And I'd like to encourage you to support finishing the sidewalks in our neighborhood. It's been about 34 years, and these small portions of the sidewalks will complete the walkability of our neighborhood. If you come by our neighborhood in the morning or the afternoon, or even during the day, you'll find a lot of people walking in our neighborhood. We probably have almost a traffic jam sometimes at 5 o'clock as people come home, they walk their dogs, they walk the neighborhood, they get exercise. And these sidewalks will be very important for completing our neighborhood. I'd also like to comment on the radar signs. We don't have to construct a foundation or a pole. What we're doing is we're basically replacing 2 radar signs that are past their lifespan. So this is a very economical project in terms of trying to control traffic. We've already put the infrastructure in. The most important project to me, I think I might call it the Stairway to Heaven. We have a bike trail on Fremont Street that was the first of its kind. And whenever you're the first of its kind, it's always difficult because no one knows what to do. I've ridden that section of road before. It's really fast now with the stoplights that let the cyclists go through, but we can't go any further than North Fremont Street. We need that section completed there at Delray Oaks. If I try to go through there, I have to cycle through the Safeway parking lot, which is quite dangerous because people have just gotten out of Safeway and they want to get home and eat their groceries. It would be much safer if we can complete that section on Delray Oaks or from North Fremont to Delray Oaks, but also that gives us, everyone on bicycles, access to the entire Fort Ord cycling area. We can cycle North Fremont Street through Seaside. It will complete our project and connect us with the rest of the world. So please, if you would, support the matching fund request for completing our class 1 bicycle pathway so it connects us with the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yoha. Next is Tanya Roos online. You could unmute her. Go ahead, Ms. Roos.
Good evening. My name is Tanya Rose, and I am here this evening representing the Blue Zones Project, Monterey County. As many of you hopefully know, our work is in community to help support individuals living active and healthier lifestyles. And I wanted to just speak in support of the matching funds for the Class 1 facility to close the gap on Fremont with the bike trail. We've written several letters of support for the city of Monterey to receive some funding. I know it's been a bit of a, it's been a little tricky to find the funding to complete this necessary link, but it's wonderful to see that you all are considering the matching funds here. As the previous speaker noted, this will connect you in to the Fortag Trail. And that actually phase 1 of development will soon be actually starting to happen in Delray Oaks. So this is a really critical connector piece here to create a really incredible active transportation network with that nearly 30-mile trail that will be going in eventually, as well as some additional improvements that are going to be starting to come into play with some big grants in Laguna Grande Park as well. So just really wanting to encourage your support of this match request to close the gap on North Fremont and support bike and pedestrian facilities throughout the city and the region. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Janie Silveria. Go ahead.
Hi, I've lived in Casanova Oak Knolls for 30 years. My kids grew up there. And one thing that was always problematic for us was the traffic on Airport Road. I don't know if people thought they were actually going to the airport or whether they were taking an exit that they thought would get them off Fremont. But anyway, the radar speed signs, while not very attractive and appealing, were very helpful in cutting down on the traffic. So I would like to recommend that go forward.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the general public before I bring it back to the commission for input and comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing portion of it and bring it to the commission. Richard, do you want to go ahead?
I'll make a brief overview. The sidewalk projects are all infill projects. These are not new sidewalks. It's just to pick up the areas that we've skipped. I do have one question for Reggie on COK 3. Reggie, does it estimate include putting a new curb in? Are you going in the street or cutting into the hillside by the trees?
That we don't have that level of design yet.
Okay, I understand. But if you do go in the street, I think the estimate, if you have to put a new curb in, all the neighbors affected by these sidewalk projects have approved these sidewalks. So if you need to get that in writing, our volunteers will do that. But they're all approved. But from what we can see of the slope and the trees, you may have to jog into the street about 5 feet and put a new curb and gutter in. But the people on Stewart, the complaints are coming from strollers and handicap. If you look at the street above this area, you can see they either walk in the street or have to cross the street without a crosswalk to get to a sidewalk on the other side of the street. The radar sign was well pointed out that the poles are there, so we should be able to get a little cheaper than the $12.5 per sign, since there's no concrete, no pole, no labor. you merely clamp on a new sign. Not sure how well they work, but they're very good at identifying the time of day when there's speeders so we can get enforcement, especially if there's a timer that records. I don't know if the new signs do that. The GAP project, I have some news. I did call Regional Parks and they've endorsed the project. The city last year put in for the construction grant, but we didn't win that. Full construction is 2.1 million. And now TAMSI has taken over the grant process for this project. They have twin bike lanes, one on each side of Laguna Grande Lake that go all the way to Del Monte, connecting to Fortag. They're also including the GAP in their grant proposal. So hopefully this amount of money might encourage the grants to see community support and give us that grant. This is desperately needed to get access for pedestrians and bike riders. We're an island. We have no way out other than through traffic intersections, driveways, freeway ramps. These bike trails are essential for safety. I think that pretty much covers all of Casanova. No. So that's about it. And just let the rest of the committee chime in. If they have any questions, be happy to answer if I know the answer.
Thank you, Mr. Rusella. Any other member of the committee, any questions or comments or? Not seeing any. Let's move on to the
We
next.
have one comment online from a community member, Genieri.
Did not see your hand go up. Go ahead.
So is this the meeting where we would give priorities, like rank them?
No, I mean, if you have them, yes, you can give them, but not necessarily, it's not required at this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other member of the committee or, okay, let's move on next neighborhood. Should be Deer Flats.
Yes, there's two projects in Deer Flats. DF01 is to install an electrical disconnect in the neighborhood entrance planter. Rough estimate of $5,000. And then DF02, the Old Salinas Highway pedestrian signage and lighting project with an estimate of $85,000. And those are the two projects in Deer Flats.
Okay, at this point, we'll open up to general public for comments or input. If anyone wishes to speak on the Deer Flats projects, if you're online, please raise your hand, or you can come forward if you're in the council chambers. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone raising hand online or coming forward, so bring it back to the committee. I know Dave is not here, so does anyone else have any other comments or questions on the Deer Flats project? Seeing none, let's move on to the next neighborhood, which would be Del Monte Beach.
All right, and yes, Del Monte Beach has 7 projects. Del Monte Beach, it seems I put in the, all right, Del Monte Beach 01, install beach boardwalk lighting, estimate of $20,000. Del Monte Beach 02, take a toy, leave a toy box, estimate $1,500. Del Monte Beach 03, Monarch Butterfly Garden, roughly $1,000 for material. Del Monte Beach 04, Beach Dune Restoration, estimate of $35,000. Del Monte Beach 05, beach bike racks in the parking lot at the end of Tide Avenue, $20,000 estimate. Repair, replace metal cable railings along the boardwalk, an estimate of $30,000. And Del Monte Beach 07, Beachway restroom facility and/or Portland Loo, rough estimate of $1 million. And those are the 7 Del Monte Beach projects.
Okay, we'll open up public comment portion on the Del Monte Beach projects. If you're online, please raise your hand. If there's anyone in the council chambers who are wanting to speak to Del Monte Beach projects, if you could just raise your hand so I know that we have anyone. Okay. I'm not seeing anyone coming forward or raising their hands in the council chambers or.
There is one online.
Online. Yep. Jill Johnson, if you could unmute her, go ahead, please.
Hello, Jill,
Yeah.
are you there?
Go ahead, Jill Johnson. Jill Johnson. Go ahead, should be unmuted.
All right, I guess we could come back.
Okay, if she comes back during the time when we're from the commission, we'll go ahead and have her speak. But meantime, let's bring it back to the commission. Any questions or input? Jamie, do you have anything to add?
So we actually have done our survey, although it's still open if people are watching and want to get their input in. So we have priorities.
Okay, go ahead.
So I
If
figured.
you've got
maybe
them,
I'll-
let us know.
and maybe I'll kind of address the comments that we have that go with them as well. So boardwalk lighting is a safety issue. And the one concern we have is we don't want light pollution. So this has got to be something where the lights are just coming on motion wise. Otherwise, the neighborhood is not in favor of it. If we can do that motion activated lighting, then this is neighborhood's number 3 priority. This is Del Monte Beach, number 1, boardwalk lighting.
Second priority.
But this third priority.
Third?
Sorry,
Okay,
third,
sorry.
right. Whatever I said, sorry. Take a toy, leave a toy. Pretty simple concept, but I will say it's the neighborhood's 6th priority. So number 3 is the Monarch Garden. Again, that's a simple concept. We're waiting for the naturalist to make sure that this is a plan that can work. If it's going to work, it's our 4th priority. Del Monte Beach, number 4 is the dune restoration. The preliminary conversations we've had with the naturalist is we actually might be able to get this down to just 10,000. But 30 would, and that's just plants. And they have already picked out a special plant that will help with that, that destruction that you see there. We're going to continue to have the peninsula effect, that when you put a seawall into a neighborhood or against the sea, it erodes around the edges. But what we can do to stabilize it, we should do, because it will mitigate as much of that damage as we can. So that was dune restoration project. DMD number 4 is the number 1 priority of the neighborhood. So once again, they're stepping in to protect that beach and that dune for everybody. Del Monte Beach number 5, bike rack. It's pretty straightforward, and it's the 5th priority for the neighborhood. And Del Monte Beach number 6, the cabling. The cabling is the 2nd priority of the neighborhood. The walkways are very heavily used, and they do try to keep the animals and people on the walkways. That's made all those plants we put in before thrive and keeps the sand on the beach and not on the road. So that's number 2 priority. I will say they're intending for cabling. There wasn't a request for split rail, but the neighborhood likes cable more than the split rail. So that's the priority on that one. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, have we got through? And then number 7 was not an active project in the neighborhood. And I guess I can't say anything anyway.
Okay. Any other member of the commission have any questions or comments? Richard?
Yes, I see we have a restroom for $1 million. And I just wondered if Reggie can tell us what the status of the restroom study is. When is it going, and When is it going to be finished?
Oh, Richard. So I guess well, I was saving the bad news for last, so you're gonna make me give it early. We are not moving forward with the restroom study. The city has made the decision that the restroom study is not necessary and that it's not a good use of funds, and we are not moving forward with the restroom study. So that's the
Gee
update on that.
whiz, kind of what NCIP thought at the beginning, that we didn't need a study. And the city wanted a study. But
And the council approved
all
it.
right, I just,
I have, that's all that's all I'm gonna say on that.
okay.
All right, so then all the restrooms proposed are up for a vote then.
Yep.
Okay, and the council's going to vote on this? Or you can't say?
Oh, the council has to vote on it, yes.
No, I mean, the council nixed the restroom study.
Has the council formally deappropriated the
No.
funds for the,
No,
Not
they
yet,
have
but
not,
they
but
will
they
have.
will, that will be a requirement, yes.
yes, okay.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Any other member of the commission have any questions or comments on Del Monte Beach projects? Go ahead, Hans.
Just quickly, the $1 million, I mean, is that mostly for getting plumbing to the site as opposed to the restroom itself?
I'm gonna have to, this $1 million estimate, I think is a holdover from several years ago. And I think it's for the high end. And I would say it's for the Portland Loo scenario, because from my understanding, right, they're all metal
Mhm.
and they tend to be expensive. If we went with a different option, it would potentially be less expensive.
Actually, I think the Portland Loo was coming in at around 650 to 7 with foundation for 2 and putting 1 in. So the million is got
High
some
end.
inflation in there, or that allows you to go with a constructed bathroom.
Right.
It would be nice to know by voting night a little tighter number potentially on that based off what actually it would be versus just a placeholding amount. Since we're now able to actually go forward with restrooms. Any other member of the commission? And Chenier, go ahead.
This question's for Jamie. Do you think the priorities are going to change now that it sounds like bathrooms are back in play?
What I can say is that in the past, the neighborhood had put that at the bottom of the list. So I don't know, I'm going to try and get the neighborhood president maybe to write that in a letter.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other member of the commission? Seeing none, and the person who had their hand up online that we couldn't contact has dropped their hand. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next neighborhood, which is Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande.
Yes, all right. There are 3 projects in Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande. Improve the sidewalks at North Fremont Street, well, along North Fremont Street for safety and beautification, estimate of $250,000. DMG 02, the purchase of land at the 500 block of Casanova Avenue for affordable housing with a specific request of $4 million. And then DMG 03, exercise equipment at Laguna Grande Park for targeted towards elder community with an estimate of $60,000. And those are the 3 projects for Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande.
3, so did one of them get?
Right, so we had a withdrawal.
Okay,
Correct.
perfect. Okay, at this point, we'll open public hearing portion for Del Monte Grove, Laguna Grande. Any member of the public who wishes to speak, please either, come forward, and if there are more than one, line up, and also raise your hand online. Go ahead, Ms. Rash.
Hi, good evening. Jean Rash. I'm one of the co-proponents of DMG 02, and Esther and I are here to withdraw it this evening. We haven't had enough time to answer your very good questions or organize our collaborative efforts. We hope to come back next year. We haven't had time to answer the very good question on water that Mr. Rochelle had. And we're very intrigued by the vice chair's suggestion of a possible option to purchase. And then we had another idea suggested by the committee of loans. So you got us thinking deeper, and we're working more on our collaboration with other proponents, and we hope to come back to you. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next.
Hi there. Thank you. I am Kate Daniels, and I continue to be really intrigued and excited by this model that you all have here in the city of Monterey. It's wonderful, the NCIP program. And so what I wanted to say about that project was I actually did have some answers to some of the questions that I think make this particular site a little bit challenging. But in light of what was just said, I think we'll just move on from that to say, though, that this idea of this kind of partnership with the private sector and the city of Monterey or other jurisdictions in the future, I would really like to stay engaged with and see what we can do with properties that perhaps don't have as many challenges. And so I just really appreciate the work that you're doing here tonight and look forward to coming back, perhaps with Jean next year, and seeing what is possible, and really continuing to look for sites that, because we had a lot of excitement in the community of folks who wanted to see a project like this happen. And so the support, I think, will be there. We just got to find the right site. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Esther. And then we'll go to the online folks, and we have 3 online with their hands raised.
So first, I want to thank Reggie for making one of our projects come to fruition after a decade. We finally got lights at Laguna Grande Park in the parking lot. They just went on 2 days ago. So thank you. So yes, I want to thank you all for taking the time to actually engage with the proposal that we came to you with. We knew when we came to you that it was a huge ask. And we were really excited with the reception we got from you guys. We kind of thought that we were going to get an "Are you crazy?" and that we didn't get that. So it encourages us to know that you guys are interested in helping us with the affordable housing crisis that we have in the city. I want to thank Supervisor-elect Kate Daniels for engaging so much with this project. She put together about, I don't know, 10 or 15 nonprofits that we are trying to work with for public-private partnerships. And we hope to continue this conversation in this room next year on this property, another property. But I know we all agree that we do have to do more housing. And I think you guys can, be a good participant and partner with the city. So thank you again.
Thank you. We'll go online. First person would be Tanya Roos. We could unmute her. Go ahead, Ms. Roos.
Good evening again. Tanya Rose here, representing the Blue Zones Project, Monterey County. Just here to speak in support of the installation of the workout equipment in Laguna Grande Park. We have recognized Laguna Grande as a critical open space asset for certainly residents in the city of Monterey, but truly the whole kind of surrounding region there. Not only an asset from an environmental perspective, giving folks the opportunity to access a natural park setting, which is good in so many reasons for our health and well-being. But also the ongoing improvements that are happening there with the trails and just increasing amenities to support utilization of the park. Blue Zones, we were pleased to partner with the city of Monterey to support the purchase of some bike racks and a water bottle refilling station that's going in on the Monterey side. And so I think the proposal here for some workout equipment, particularly focused on an older demographic of folks, will provide yet another wonderful, free, accessible amenity to allow people to live a healthier, happier life. So thanks so much for your time and your consideration, and looking forward to seeing and supporting Laguna Grande in becoming an even more wonderfully and widely used asset in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roos. Next person is Michelle Cry. We could unmute her and go ahead.
Hi, so I'm a 30-year resident, a little over 30-year of the Del Monte Laguna Grande area, actually living in 3 separate locations, but still in the neighborhood. And since that time, I haven't seen too much improvement on North Fremont Street. We all know it needs what's in desperate need of improvement. The bike lane was a good jump start, but part of that 2014 Fremont plan was to have some beautification and safety and sidewalk improvements. And since I wrote this proposal, hearing some talk about, well, there's undergrounding, so maybe we want to hold off till we get that undergrounding done. But our idea was, well, can we do some planning and then maybe some design, at least what we can do, and see what we can do now, and then what we can do, after the undergrounding is done. So yeah, we wouldn't want to spend a lot of money that has to get taken out, but I'm sure there's some things that we can do, just right now to really make it the real gateway to Monterey that it should be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next person is telephone number ending in 257. And then after that will be Jill Johnson, who's online.
And for the telephone, there you go. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I unmuted myself. This is Lori Mazuka, Del Monte Beach neighborhood. But I think mainly to probably Kate Daniels' points and Esther's regarding the property. Just want to say, in case folks missed it, in the March 15th issue of the Pine Cone on page 10A, there was a story about Pebble Beach Company bought in Oak Grove neighborhood here in Monterey, a 20-unit building for their employees, affordable, and they can set the rent at whatever they want. So to give their employees opportunity to be able to live close by, and they'll basically be the landlord. So for $3.5 million. And I thought, wow, that's kind of a quicker way to get folks living in places, because it's going to take a while to develop land. And the other one was quite a bit of money, but maybe just a thought that, and not that the city wants to be in the real estate business, but maybe just for employee housing or teacher housing or whatever kind of housing they want it to be. Just thought I would pitch that out there and check out that Pine Cone article if you missed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jill Johnson. See if we can get to work this time. Go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
Yeah, if you're on the phone, you have to dial *6 to unmute.
Oh, okay. Well, put it this way, we'll check again after we have commission comments. And if for any reason we don't end up hearing from you, our next meeting in 2 weeks, you could go ahead and make your comments at that point on the projects under the public comment section. So we'll have another opportunity then as well. So I'm not hearing Ms. Johnson, and her hand is going, well, went off and came back on. And can you hear us, Ms. Johnson? Okay, let's go ahead. Let's bring it back. Anyone else in the council chambers? Seeing none, we'll bring it to the commission, but we'll come back to Ms. Johnson towards the end of the commission comments and see if we can connect at that point. She's now actually online twice.
Probably from a different device.
So there's a second hand up for Jill Johnson. See if we can unmute that one. Go ahead, Ms. Johnson.
Hello, can you hear
Yes.
me?
We have you.
Can you hear me? Oh, thank God.
Go ahead.
I actually have like 2 different devices here. Okay, so I am a resident of Via del Monte, and I frequent Laguna Grande Park.
Turn off the other device that we're hearing everything twice.
Okay,
Much better.
all right, how are we doing?
Much better. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I live in Via del Monte neighborhood and I frequent Laguna Grande Park. And as a physical therapist in our community for almost 25 years, and I'm a geriatric clinical specialist as well, which is a board certification. So I specialize in our elders. I've always wondered why I see so few elders at our beautiful park in Monterey at Laguna Grande Park. And kind of exploring this and talking with some of the other residents of our North Monterey area, it's a lot of it is accessibility issues, not having transportation to the sports center from our neighborhood easily accessed, not having the money, which seems to be a big problem. And so I know many other communities I've lived in have had outdoor exercise resistant equipment available and throughout their park systems. And it just seems like Laguna Grande is a perfect area for that. Met with Louis Marcuzzi and he identified a perfect area. There's already parking and handicap access to the area. And I think there's a possibility of getting some matching funds from a few different organizations which have not had time to give us any offers yet. So I would hope that the rest of the people in my community would also support this idea. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I'm sorry it was such a chore. to
Well,
hear you, but they're greatly appreciated. Thank you.
well, thank you very much. And sorry about all the different tries. I'm in the middle of traveling. I had to pull over on the side of the road basically, and then it's I needed. So I do appreciate you guys' patience. Thank you very much.
No problem. Okay, I do not see any other hands up online. No one else coming forward, so we'll close public comment section and bring it to the commission. Go ahead.
DMG-01, the North Fremont project, has a lot of moving parts, and I think this submission served its purpose of stimulating discussion. Where everybody's unanimous, everybody is enthusiastic about getting something done, but there are things that need to be done first, like undergrounding and then even the design of a project. So I had a good discussion with the North Fremont Business District this afternoon, just one of the interested parties. We've got several neighborhoods involved, so we'll be hearing more about this in the future.
Okay.
But at this point, I don't think we're ready to come to the committee with a request for funding.
So is that a formal withdrawal or
Well, I
is it
can't-
we're going to figure out what the project is and maybe it's just design?
Things will crystallize over time, and if that's as nebulous as it sounds, I guess that's how it should sound at this point.
So we'll have more specificity before voting night.
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
DMG-02, that took care of itself, thanks to the speakers. So in order of priority for our neighborhood, that leaves us with DMG-03, the exercise equipment. Louis was kind enough to point out 2 possible sites. And we have interest of Blue Zones with contributing part of the equipment. Could be, we don't know yet. One could be 2 or 3 pieces. So DMG-03 is our only project that we're ready to run with this year.
Okay.
That's
Thank
it.
you. Any other member of the commission? And just one note on undergrounding on North Fremont. That's actually, there is money to do it. The challenge is getting PG&E to do the design, and it has been years on waiting on them to do the design.
Yes, and I've had Richard's been great with that.
Oh, yeah. So, any other comments, Reggie?
Richard has his
Oh,
hand raised.
sorry. Thank you. Richard.
Yes, undergrounding North Fremont is a frustration that's run 10 years. There's money there, but trying to find out when they're going to design it, when they're going to do the surveys, when they're going to do the construction. But to get to the beautification, it pains me seeing the deterioration there, the condition of the sidewalks. There's so many obstacles in the street. Many places you have to walk single file on Fremont because of poles, mailboxes, benches. Just name the obstacle. I think this should be reframed on the North Fremont to go. See, there was the North Fremont specific plan had a follow-up plan, and that follow-up plan was undergrounding, followed by a streetscape plan. The streetscape plan had bulb outs, trees, widened sidewalks, benches, little public pull-out areas. Conceptual. Maybe the project can be reframed into design money to design this, so we save some time as the undergrounding is finally completed sometime in somebody's lifetime. And then we'll have the shovel-ready project to go on the streetscape. But it definitely needs to be done. And I'm very heartened by the comments online about the lot purchase affordable housing and the expense of the lake, dealing with the water issue, the development issue, construction costs. If we want to provide affordable housing, we're going to provide seed money. It's more efficient to get a structure that's already built that needs sprucing up, and then you can put people in right away. I don't want projects that take 10 years to complete, and it takes multiple agencies and grants. If we can get into a structure like PG&E did to provide city employee or teacher housing, I'm not going to frame it, but I think it's a good idea to look at apartments in the city of Monterey that are for sale. Other than that, I really would like to see something happen on North Fremont and to get some timelines on when we can design this undergrounding. This is something we have to consider. How long it takes, who has to design it, who has to construct it. My understanding, PG&E has to do it all. So given the state of undergrounding, I don't know where we stack up in that timeline, but I'm very concerned and tired of waiting. Thank you. Good projects, though.
Thank you. Any other comments from commission members? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to downtown.
Okay, yes, I think there was at least one withdrawal in downtown, so I think we're at 22. All right, downtown projects. Install a stop sign at Webster Street and Camino El Estero. And as I think I've said prior, we have a project on the books and in the works to put a rapid flashing beacon at this intersection. DTO2, Dennis the Menace Playground video surveillance, rough estimate of 75,000, and this would be to monitor the Dennis the Menace statue at the entrance. DTO3, this one was withdrawn. DTO4, Jack's Field, Park infield, outfield turf replacement. This was a Parks and Rec Commission priority project that they've identified their number 3 priority for this year. And there's a lot of back and forth on this, and I think that they just want to find a way to get it done. DTO5, lights at Frank Solicito Junior Field. And this was a specific request for 175,000, and Parks and Rec voted this one number 2. El Estero Park Barbecue Area Shade Structure, Parks and Rec Commission ranking number 5, and an estimate of 95,000. And then number 7, one of 2 library projects that was submitted this year. This one is to do energy, lighting, and electrical upgrades, rough estimate of 500,000. Second library project, DT08 for exterior upgrades to the library, rough estimate of 100,000. DT09, this is to do paver replacement, similar to what's currently at the conference center along along Alvarado Street. Quite a bit of sidewalk, 23,000 square feet at a rough estimate of $50 per square foot. This comes out to $1,150,000. A lot of work here. I mean, we'd have to maintain access to all of the businesses. I mean, there would be a lot of pedestrian, the work would be difficult at best. So this might be a low estimate.
Could you split that like in half on Alvarado Street? Like we've got one block between Del Monte.
Tom, the applicant could do anything they want to as far as splitting it. It's not our job or staff's to do that. So given the cost, they might want to consider that, but.
That's what I'd like to ask if we could see that.
All right. There was DT10, celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Monterey mural. It was kind of 3 different parts to this project, was to restore the existing mural and to purchase some additional art, $25,000 estimate. DT11, sea level rise educational signage along Lake El Estero on Del Monte Avenue, $5,000 estimate. DT12, one of 2 proposals to make some improvements at the tennis center. This one was to convert courts 1 and 2 to pickleball courts with a specific request of $55,000 to $60,000. DT13, upgrade the tennis center lighting, courts, fencing, and pro shop with an estimate of $300,000. DT14, accessible beach mat wayfinding signage, estimate of $2,000, and this was Parks and Rec's rank number 4 project. DT15, a community mural at the Wharf Marina Resource Recovery Facility. So for those that don't know, if you've been along the rec trail or in the marina parking lot, this building here houses dumpsters for trash and recycling materials from Fisherman's Wharf. $25 to $35 per square foot for a mural of this type. Roughly a 60-foot by 10-foot mural would be roughly $25,000. Great Blue Heron sculpture restoration in Lake El Estero, rough estimate of $50,000. Relocating the baseball statue at Jack's Park, estimate of $40,000. Portland Loos in the downtown area, estimate of $750,000. And restrooms in Monterey Bay Park, rough estimate of $1 million. DT20, so there's 2 Hartnell Gulch projects, DT20 and I believe in 23. So together, estimate of $850,000. This would be, remove invasive plants and do some upgrades to the walkway and park area. DT21, Lake El Estero Lake Edge improvements, phase 5, and that there's prior projects that have been done along the lake. This estimate's $300,000. DT22, El Estero Street 100 block driveway reconstruction, estimate of $30,000. I think that's the end of the downtown projects.
Okay. At this point, we'll open up to public comments. So anyone who wishes to address the Committee, please come forward, and if you're online, raise your hand.
Hi, I'm Ellen McEwen, Commissioner for Parks and Recreation. And I just want to speak about 4 items on the downtown area that are of top priority for Parks and Recreation. Our number 2 priority, as you mentioned, was to replace and install the new light poles at Solicito Field. The lights and light poles are 30 to 50 years old. They're an old system, you know, with ballast and fluorescent tubes, and they're very hard to get the bulbs now. Apparently, we spent $4,000 to $5,000 last year just on bulbs trying to keep this system jury-rigged together. It's not a real exciting thing, but it would be of great benefit to the athletes because the lighting would be better directed on the field with a new LED system. It would require less maintenance, and there wouldn't be those sort of blackout areas where things don't show up very well. And in addition, there'd be less light pollution because it would be better directed on the field. So that one we're very much interested in. DT4 is to replace the irrigation and drainage system and install some kind of turf. It can be natural turf, it can be cork or sand. And this is at Jack's Park. It's in super poor shape right now. This is where we have adults play, the girls' sports gets played here. And just to keep things kind of equitable, we really do need to upgrade the Jack's Park infield turf. The next one,
Go ahead.
Okay, disabled parking, the disabled sign near the mat so you can get on the beat. That's pretty straightforward. We'd love to have it. It's a low-cost project. And then the other one that we're interested in is the shade structure at El Estero Park. You've probably seen ones. They're, you know, metal poles with these beautiful sort of sails constructed out of marine canvas, you know, in bright colors. There's only 2 shaded structures otherwise in Monterey at Oak Newton and Whispering Pines. But at El Estero, it can accommodate up to 200 people. So if you want to have a super giant party or a big barbecue, or you need space for a lot of people, it's really the only one of that size. So again, we want this to be a canvas thing, not a metal thing for kids to fall off of or for people to climb on. Thank you very much.
A quick question before you walk away. Any idea on how much power we would save if we were to change those lights out to LED?
I think lots.
Okay. Go ahead,
Good
Coach.
evening, Mr. Chairman, committee members. My name is Michael Groves. I'm the head coach for the Monterey High School baseball team. So we have a lot of the participants from the baseball program here tonight and the varsity
I
baseball.
hope you're not going to have every single one of them speak to.
We're going to have them all
And
speak.
they're welcome to.
No, we don't want to take up your entire evening. We just wanted to let you know that we're very interested in your downtown 5 and downtown 4 projects. The downtown project that has to do with the lights that was just spoken about, I really appreciate those comments because the light standards there are really deteriorated, been there a long time. Louis has told me over and over again, it's really the ballast piece up on top that's really causing the problems. We have probably 15 to 20 lights that are out now that we're playing with, but those light bulbs have all been replaced. They don't work because the connections don't work anymore. That's how old they are. So it's really a significant thing, and it will save a lot of energy, but I don't have the number either. So, but it is something that is really special. So I'm, in addition to being the Monterey High School baseball coach, I'm also the president of Save Our Sports. And so Save Our Sports made two requests to the committee. One was for the light standards and the other one was for Jacks Park. So I'll talk about Jacks Park in a minute. I just wanted to honor the fact that the entire varsity baseball team here tonight, and I want to thank them and honor them for being here. And the girls were planning on coming, but they actually have a softball game tonight. So they're at Jacks Park right now playing while we're speaking. So they really wanted to be here to talk about Jacks Park. So I just want to say that, you know, I appreciate the committee and I appreciate Reginald, what he does in terms of navigating this and trying to put it all together, and what the committee does in terms of their selection process. So thank you for all the work that you put in for our community. With regard to Jacks Park, as Reginald had said, there's a lot of controversy about turf in this day and age. We know that, you know, there was controversy when we did Solicitor Ballpark, and I know you remember that process. Some of you remember that process, and people complained at the city council. And then, of course, when we built it, they all came. Everybody wanted to use it. So it's a highly used field, and it's accessible more often because when it's raining, you can still play on it. It's got great drainage. But if the committee is not looking towards that as an entity in terms of an end result, then I would suggest that we look at maybe regrading the field and putting on natural turf, redoing it with some type of new irrigation system for the field. So I think that the Jacks Park has some possibilities that are a lot less expensive. I think for the lights at Solicitor, we need about $250,000 to $300,000 to do that right. The Jacks Park lights were the Jacks Park lights ended up being about $250,000. The park at the park improvements for Jacks Park, if we did turf, it's probably a $1.5 million project. If we do it as a natural surface, it's probably closer to $300,000 project. So again, we would request that you put some money at Jacks Park and definitely provide the light poles at the light fixtures at Solicitor, and appreciate the consideration on that. If you remember when we did Solicitor, this committee was the seed money. You stepped up and gave us a couple $100,000, added another 50 and another 40 at another point, and then another 300 at another point. We ended up raising $1.4 million to do that field. And we did it as a community, we did it together. And it's a beautiful centerpiece for Monterey. So I thank you for that. And we need that same kind of seed money here to get going with both the light poles and with the resurfacing of Jacks Park. So thank you.
Thank you. Went a little bit long, but I was worried that if I cut you off, I'd have a whole lot more people
Yeah,
coming
so
up.
I'm just trying to cover it for
Okay.
everybody out here. Okay. Is there anybody else that wants
Oh, okay. No,
He's
go-
just here for eye candy. So
Okay.
come on.
I can.
Yep. This is my son, Nathan Wedderburn. My name is Sabrina Wedderburn. I'm a proud mom of a baseball player, but I'm also here to speak for softball as they do have a game, and my husband is the coach for the softball team. So unfortunately, they're not here to advocate for that field. I just want to encourage you to continue to invest in athletes and athletes like my son, like my other boys behind me, as well, as it just pays off for the community. So just in big support of Coach Groves and all that he's done. I cannot speak to any of the financial numbers behind it, but I can tell you that that investment pays off. My daughter played softball for 4 years on Jacks as well. My son is a senior, so this is his last couple games on Solicitor, and we've enjoyed it as a family as well as the community. So just want to encourage you to continue to invest. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. When you go ahead, I'm going to take a person online first, and then we'll go to you. Okay. If we could, Eugene Lowe, go ahead. If we could unmute. Go ahead. Well, now I'm not seeing.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Terrific. I'm speaking about DT11, which is the signage regarding sea level rise impairing traffic on Del Monte near El Estero. Climate change is one of the most important economic, environmental, and moral issues of the day. But one striking example is the City of Monterey report a few years ago forecasting that sea level rise will threaten access to the City of Monterey on Del Monte Avenue at El Estero, starting by the end of the decade. Solutions such as a viaduct or seawall are forecast in the range of hundreds of millions of dollars. Proposal DT11 is to post a sign on the rec trail by El Estero, illustrating projected flooding right at the site of interest, also illustrating more generally the impact of sea level rise on coastal communities. There are already signs on the rec trail educating the public on, for example, local history and the local natural environment. Other coastal communities have signs describing the impacts of sea level rise. The submitter and I know of sufficient community interest to fund the project, and clear illustrative graphics are already available from the City of Monterey report I mentioned earlier. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We had a gentleman go ahead, and then we'll go to Christopher Barlow next after the speaker in here.
How you doing? My name is Spencer Reese. I'm here with the baseball team, and I wanted to appreciate Coach Groves and how long he's been supporting this team, and as his decisions could be very highly interpreted or interpreted. And as a baseball player out there in the outfield, sometimes it gets a little bit hard to see. It would definitely be a great plus. My dad played on that field, and for the next generations to come, they should have a good experience on that field, and it is greatly looked at in the Monterey County, and a lot of people go to that park day to day, and I feel like it would definitely be a huge addition to the baseball players and also to the community playing under the lights.
Thank you very much. Okay, Christopher Barlow online. We could unmute him. Go ahead, Mr. Barlow.
Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Well, my apologies for not being able to show up in person, but I first off wanted to thank you all for including the Hartnell Gulch projects in your very important nominated projects. I believe that the Hartnell Gulch is one of the underappreciated assets of Monterey. Just last Thursday, historian Dennis Copeland had pointed out that the upper sections of Hartnell Gulch near Johnson Street may very well have been the tortilla flats written about in John Steinbeck's novels. But really, I think the goal here is to restore that gulch with native vegetation. There's a lot of swell for volunteer efforts on that project, and I think it would be a great project in community building. Hartnell Gulch really pulls together some of the other projects that are on these lists here. Actually runs under the police and fire stations, is exposed at the library, and then goes back underground in the downtown area. So it's the ability to restore that to something like the Riverwalk in San Luis Obispo, or any of the great projects that have been going on across the states with finding waterways and really restoring them to their natural state, is really, I think, something that Monterey could be proud of, and I think that the community has some broad support for. So thank you again, and we look forward to proceeding with that project.
Thank you. We'll go to Richard Snelling. We could unmute him. Go ahead, Mr. Snelling.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah, this is Richie Snelling, here to talk about the pickleball project downtown at the Monterey Tennis Center. I just want to thank you all for considering this project, and what we really want to do is build a community downtown in Monterey. Kind of give you a little bit of backstory again on me and my brother. So me and my brother grew up in the community, playing tennis at both the Hyatt Regency and the Monterey Tennis Center. It's been kind of an awesome 3 years for us, taking over both of those facilities and growing them to what they are today. And we want to really continue to grow this pickleball community in the Monterey area. And we think that this project downtown in Monterey would be not only beneficial to the community of Monterey pickleball, but also all the tourism coming downtown to the center of the city with a beautiful facility representing Monterey, California. The last thing I would like to say is this project is substantially less. Is I think a very good amount of money to be used for the community, and along with the fact that it could be done immediately. Resurfacing courts and putting in pickleball courts downtown is a 2-week project, and we've done it in the past 3 years ago when we had the courts resurfaced. So yeah, I just want to thank you all for all your support, and looking forward to hearing results soon.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Snelling. We'll go to Jenny Silveira or Silveria. I keep butchering your name, I think. Go ahead. She unmuted.
Hi, I'm Janie Bernard Silvera. I'm longtime resident of Monterey, longtime library supporter and librarian, and now I'm on the Board of Trustees, Libraries Trustees, which meets right before you do. I would like to speak on behalf of DT 07 and 08, which are interior and exterior upgrades for the library. As you may know, if you've seen any of the recent media articles, or if you came to the April 2nd City Council meeting, the library is in severe need of upgrading. It was built in 1953. The last remodel was in 1983. So some of these interior systems, infrastructure problems date back to 1953, like the single pane windows we would like to replace with double pane windows. Those are from the earliest days of the library. We also have inefficient lighting. Other speakers before have mentioned the inefficient outdoor and outdated outdoor lighting, but our indoor lighting is very expensive. We've budgeted $80,000 a year for PG&E because our costs keep going up incrementally. We'd also like to replace cabling in the library. And on the exterior side, we would like to replace the automated doors to the library for increased accessibility. ADA standards have changed, and our doors are no longer ADA compliant. We have some interest in, a strong interest in enclosing the patio area, the seating area exterior, because our library is heavily used. Over 110,000 customers a year come into the library, and we would like to have expanded space for readers and users. And the best way to do that, we do have, plans to start a capital campaign working with the city council and city manager's office. But for now, it would be very helpful to get that exterior portion covered to provide more space and a more welcoming environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Tammy Jennings. Go ahead, Tammy.
Hi. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the, I think it's DT 14, the handicap accessible beach mat signage. Besides the fact that we need that obviously to direct where the beach mat is, we've had some, when it was on the other side of the building there, it was run over and ruined, and I have pictures on this side too of tire tracks on it. And so I'm thinking also that a pole right there would be good to keep the vehicles off of the mat so it won't get ruined again. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jennings. Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands up online that haven't already spoken. Any other member of the public in the council chambers? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission for comments and questions. Anyone? Jamie? And then Oak Grove? Or no, Old Town. Sorry.
A couple of questions. So what has been our experience? We said in the past when we looked at putting artificial surfaces down that they would save on maintenance. And there's this whole big thing about don't want to spend money that creates more money being spent. We want to spend money that assists. So I was wondering if you could remind us about what kind of the story is with regard to our experience of the artificial. And then I also wanted to comment that I think it'd be nice if we can see if we can get some of these energy grants, because PG&E pays, and I have the name of a PG&E approved vendor that does this. They pay for the costs up front and then just take the savings off as you go. So you don't have to spend anything for those energy efficiencies and get it done that way. So 2 questions on that.
But I think it would be helpful to get a read from, because I imagine there'd be a substantial savings in power usage, changing the lights at Jack's Park. Or not, Callisto, excuse me, not Jack's. And I know for commercial and other things, there are a lot of different programs that PG&E do, and for the library as well. I think it's in our best interest to check with PG&E and see if any of that can be done in a way to have them funded and it's paid for by usage, or it's grant towards it, or anything of that aspect where it reduces the cost. Because both of those, the ball field in particular, would be those are old halogen lights which suck power.
Dare I say it's a home run?
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's behooves us to check it, and if we can find out in advance of voting, that would be really good. Go ahead, Old Town.
Reggie, I talked to you or sent an email to you about driveways. Was the city?
I sent the request to the city attorney.
So.
I'm waiting. I sent it today, so.
Oh, so we will know by voting night, rather the city.
Yeah, I sent several items to the city attorney. One was the driveways that you're talking about. The other one was sidewalks adjacent to commercial properties, which was a big discussion last time. I also sent, it was driveways, sidewalks. I lost track, but there was like 6 different things, including I sent the conflicts stuff as well. I sent it all today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Kurt.
Okay. Couple of things. I got an email from Brian Edwards, the director of the library. I sent it, Parker, I gave it to you. Could you make sure that the rest of the committee members get that data, please?
Okay.
And then the other is, I tried to reach out to everybody that I could, that I didn't have conflicts with, to have them come and appear before us today. Some did, some didn't. I did want to speak about the heron, the blue heron structure. That's still sinking. And I think we need to do something about raising that and getting it back fixed. Because it's every time I go by, it's a little, not much, but it's getting lower and lower all the time. That's all I had.
Okay, and we had a hand up over here. Nope. Okay, we'll go to Richard.
Thank you. I have a few questions. Reggie, could you tell me if the Dennis statue is back at Dennis the Menace?
It is not.
Okay, and that's the reason Tom and I proposed the video surveillance. I hope we could do it for less, and the city is willing to bring the statue back, because I believe it's an integral element of Dennis the Menace Park. The locomotive was a keystone, it's fenced off. Dennis is where millions of children have taken pictures with Dennis. And since it's been stolen 2 or 3 times, that's the reason we asked for the system to be monitored. And we do have the lower Presidio precedent on that. But to say a Ring floodlight with a camera that goes to my phone, the floodlight and the camera's $250, and it costs $100 a year to record. But of course, you depend on somebody with a phone responding immediately while they're sawing away at the statue. So anyway, I believe it's a good project. How we can do it, I'm not sure whether the city's willing to. But I do have a couple questions about the tennis center project. One, we're being asked to replace courts with pickleball, which is a great idea, but you have to pay to go there. And I'd like the city attorney to reply on NCIP's fiduciary obligation. Are we subsidizing a business? This is a unique situation. The other question was, if we have it accessible for pickleball, do we need to build the one at Ryan Ranch? We never got that answered. But I don't know if there's resistance to paying $5 or $10 to play, or we got to spend millions to build a new court. It's something we ask, and I think we should know before we vote. The other is the mention of the barbecue shade, the barbecue area at El Estero. I've done large parties there. Let me tell you, you put food on the table, you're trying to feed a couple hundred people, and seagulls are flying over. Don't eat that potato salad, please, because you're not going to know what's going in it. My last comment is, when I found the Portland Loo many years ago, they literally cost about $80,000, battleship grade stainless steel. And the city put one up at Seminole Plaza. Right after I came up with the idea, they jumped on it. The only difference is they painted it. It kind of defeats the purpose of the steam washing graffiti off battleship stainless steel. But including the shipping, it was less than $100,000 to get here. Then you got to add the pad and the sewer connections, power, all that stuff. They come with power sprayers on them, so maintenance can power wash off the walls of the floor drains. But when we looked into this, it was half the cost of a stick-built or concrete block restroom. So I don't know how it got turned around, and that was 10 years ago. But I think Jamie called the company at my request, and she was briefed on it too. And that's the reason we wanted the study, because some people were asking for 2 or 3 of them, and we had no idea what the demand level for each location proposed is. So I guess we're going to have to figure that out voting night, but it should be substantially cheaper. It's anti-crime, easy maintenance, a way to deal with graffiti that stick-built structures can address. That's the reason you see the vents on the bottom and the top. So when the police can go by, they can see how many feet are in there and that tells them somebody's dealing drugs or mugging somebody. But a woman can bring a stroller with kids' bicycles inside with them and lock the door. When you have an open door, stick-built restroom, you can be followed in, and then you're a victim. So those items should be considered as we vote for these different restrooms. But I agree on the Heron statue. I don't want to see it sink. I have questions on why it's going to take $40,000 to move that statue from the tap of the snack bar down to a concrete pedestal. That seems awful lot of money for something quite simple. But I like the downtown projects, the beach mats, I'm all for, and we need to protect them from crazy people driving their vehicles on the beach at night. Thank you. That's the end of my comments.
Thank you. Mr. Rowley.
DT02 is the statue for the park, Dennis the Menace Park. And I don't know whether it's the city manager that's holding it up. There's somebody blocking it in the city thing. Why the statue is not back. It should be there. It's Dennis the Menace Park. It's famous. It's nationally famous. So why we're not putting it back there and why that's not a high priority. And I had recommended this to the Parks and Rec Commission and they weren't interested in it. So I don't know what the Parks and Rec, we heard the lady from the Parks and Rec, she's already left, but I can't figure out why they're not interested in getting the Dennis the Menace statue back. I would think if I was on Parks and Rec, it would be a high priority. The other thing is I drive by going from my house to the office every day and back. And I always look to see if the statue in El Estero in that one place is still there, because it was not working not too long ago. They got it working, but I always wonder if it's going to be there and it's going to be continuing to working. And if it is sinking, I think it would be wise for us to make sure that we put whatever it takes to get it back up in operation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public, or excuse me, the commission? I have a couple things I want to chime in on, and then we'll go. Actually, why don't we go ahead? Adam, go ahead first.
Hey, and everybody. Yeah, no, just to chime in on the Dennis the Menace statue. That price tag for what was described as video surveillance does seem excessive. And I'm curious if the people that have proposed this have considered other opportunities to solidify it in place, maybe filling it to make it heavier so people can't just take it and run. But in terms of like a long-term solution, I'm also curious to hear how many years this would actually provide the response to the video surveillance as well.
Okay. Jamie, do you have a final comment?
I would just remind us all, these are very, very rough estimates. And so don't make a decision on the exact dollar alone. The concept and the utilization are all important.
Okay. I'm going to wade into pickleball. I've got a concern, I think it's the one Richard brought up, of the Monterey Tennis Center, where you're going to have to pay to use it, and we'd be fixing it. So to equate that with the open public free to use facility, to me is not a comparison. Doesn't mean I don't like the idea of having pickleball courts there. My bigger issue as it relates to pickleball, and I see the smile happening on Reggie's face because he knows what's coming. I have a major issue when the city manager takes it on himself to basically, for lack of a better term, kill an approved and funded NCIP project. We funded a design at Ryan Ranch. We have no idea what construction cost would be or anything else until a design is done. No guarantee that we're going to fund construction once we see a design. But to unilaterally put on hold a project without even bothering to bring it to this committee, to me, is unconscionable. And to say, well, we might have something downtown, there might be something in Delray Oaks. We don't know. We know we have a funded design for a potential court. Whether or not we choose to fund construction once we see the design or phase it or anything else, we don't know yet. But that project should be moving forward like any other approved city council project. It's not the purview of the city manager to choose upon himself what moves forward and what doesn't. This is the problem we've had historically with NCIP projects, where we have public works directors who don't like one or don't like the fact they have to put resources to it and stall. That's how come we have a backlog of projects very often. And there's been a lot of talk at the city council level about it, and it's something that needs to be addressed. It needs to move forward on the design. Once we all know what it is, instead of our wild guesses pulling it out of the air, what it could cost or cost to maintain or anything else, we don't know. At least this way, we have something that we know about that is open to the public versus potentially putting money into something where we then, as residents, have to go pay for, even though it is a city-owned facility. Sorry, I went on my soapbox.
Amen.
Any other members of the committee on downtown projects?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Where is Dennis the Menace? Where's the little guy?
Well, he's in city, I think we got him back. He's in city storage, if I remember right.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Did we lose him again and no one will admit it?
He's in storage? We physically, the city
The city
physically
does
has him and he's in
statue,
storage.
But I personally do not know where it's stored.
Okay.
Well, let's
He's
not
in
say
hiding,
where
so he
it
doesn't
is,
get stolen
or we'll
for
lose him
a
again.
third or fourth time? How many times? He's been stolen, what, 2 times already? Two, okay.
Okay, we put the railroad engine in jail. Let's build a little jail for Dennis. And then then we open it up for the kids to go and take pictures.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Lee Whitney from Glenwood. Interesting point you brought up because Dennis is not there. Why do we need surveillance?
Well, we
You
want.
don't have a
Dennis
kid,
there.
you don't need a nanny. So, and if we can find out when it's coming back and if it's gonna be there and what kind of security procedures of securing it down and build the jail, then it's worthwhile doing. But if we're not gonna bring it back, thank you.
I think you got me getting ready to go on a second soapbox. Sorry. Dennis the Menace Park has been a unique facility in the city for a long, long time. It had unique play equipment, and I want to credit Louis for, as we've had to change it, to come up with other semi-unique equipment as much as you can these days and have it be safe and usable. We lost access to the train, which my kids played on without killing themselves. I think we need to get Dennis back into the playground that's named after him and add I believe if I'm right, Hank Ketchum was involved with the original design of that. So it's an integral part. We need to get him back. And we need to, if we do, we need to have some way of securing them. Because apparently there's no way to install anything in a way that can't be stolen these days. I don't know. But that's it. Any other comments on downtown projects? Okay, let's move on to next neighborhood.
Okay, I think it's
Flats.
Fisherman's Flats. There's 2 projects. Richard Snelling had his hand raised, but I think it's too late, Richard. Sorry.
I can't comment on.
No,
Can you hear me?
we don't have public comment on the committee statements, so sorry. All right, so we're moving on to Fisherman Flats. The first one is Greenbelt Maintenance and Fisherman Flats, specific request of $100,000. And then the second one is Via Martimo Streetlight, estimate at $30,000. And those are the 2 Fisherman Flats projects.
As long as you got that up, that's, show the first one. That's the edge of the football field parking pad, which was put in service
Sorry, can you speak in the microphone, please?
Yeah, it doesn't come to our neighborhood anymore, but the footpath is still there. And there's concrete steps at the end of that DG walkway that go to the green belt. And if you can show the next picture, that's where it comes out, where you see the driveway on the left and you see all those bushes. That's where the walkway comes out at Via Maritimo, which is probably 25, 30 feet difference in elevation. The problem is the neighbor that lives on the right-hand driveway, as you look at it, and you can see the basketball thing parked there. They're supposed to be getting rid of that. But anyway, they're the ones that object to the lights shining into their bedroom. Actually, there is a new system for lighting that directs it downward. There's an international organization in charge of it that allows you to focus the lights so they don't.
Tom, we're actually staff presentation, public, then comments.
Okay.
So it's
But
try
as
to
long
keep
as he's
to.
got them up there, so you know what you're looking at.
Well,
'cause it's
he's
tricky.
keeping them up there. We can move back
It's
and forth
tricky.
on them.
It's tricky.
Reggie, you want to finish your?
That was it for Fisherman Flats. So we're ready for public comment.
Let's open public comments. I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of, I'm not seeing hands raised or anyone rushing to the podium. So now officially close public comments. So Tom, go ahead and.
Yeah,
finish.
and actually, the reason I put in for 100,000 is last year, there was no, there was money spent on the green belt. And I was surprised that there wasn't somebody put in for the other green belts, but I think there is a figure in there someplace under citywide projects for another 300,000, 350,000.
Is this fuel reduction or maintenance?
It's for green belt cleanup.
So fuel reduction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And my wife said she heard somebody in the green belt today, and I didn't get a chance to check it out. It's possible this footpath that cuts through where people walk their dogs from the upper to the lower flats, or even from Deer Flats over to the school may have been cleaned up as a project separate from the green belt cleanup. So it's pretty obvious this is a very inaccessible green belt because it's like on a hill.
Okay. Any other public?
And that'll be our number one project, the green belt maintenance.
Okay. Any other commission comments or questions? Okay. Adam, go ahead.
Is that picture reflective of the current state of the green belt? The way that you're describing it makes it seem that it's in overgrown. Can you speak to that?
No, the reason is there's concrete steps at the end of that walkway. So you're looking at a picture, so it drops off. And that tree that's to the right is just overhang. So that's not part of the green belt. It's hard to see, that belongs to the neighbors, that tree that's hanging over.
So there is fire hazard and growth that needs to be removed.
Yeah.
I guess was the question. Yeah.
But that tree belongs to the neighbor, not the city.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dennis.
The part that will dry out and be a grassy fire is nicely next to a wood fence. Might be a hazard.
It's been trimmed since this picture was taken.
Okay. Any other comments from the commission? Okay, let's move on to Glenwood Circle.
And yes, there's one project in Glenwood, and that is Old Capitol Site fuel reduction. And the estimate 250,000, and this is work that has been done and it's continuing. And that's Glenwood.
Okay, we'll open up to the public. Any member of the public wish to address the Glenwood Circle project? Okay, now let's bring it to the commission. Lee?
The Old Capitol project is part of the Alta Mesa and the Glenwood neighborhood. The Parks Department has had two marvelous town hall meetings. The last one was just this past Tuesday night. We were able to see the concepts and the ideas going forward for the old Capitol Park. 136 acres. They're going the right way with it. All natural, let nature be the beauty of it. And they are going and they're doing studies with all the the habitat and all the environment, native plants, trees, etc. They're all on the right path. But the one thing that that park needs, and it's going to be a consistent thing because Mother Nature is there, and if it keeps raining, we're going to need that fuel reduction. And this is so prime because A, it's for the park. B, it's also for the neighborhoods because there's neighborhoods that are totally surrounded by all those trees and that park over there. And that fire will spread fast, trust me. So this is a request for fuel reduction. We're also discussing the homeless, what to do with that, and what other things that we're going to put into the park with, say, for example, nature trails, bird walking, the porta potties, etc. But the fuel reduction is prime to this area because if that area gets on fire, it spreads to every neighborhood. It touches on Monte Vista, it touches on Glenwood, obviously, and Alta Mesa, and then jumps the highway. So I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Okay, Chinieri, go ahead.
Can I get clarification on how this is different from multi-neighborhood 5? Are there any differences?
It is funds dedicated just to this site, whereas the other is spread throughout basically the rest of the city.
Okay, thank you.
In large part because of the magnitude of the size of this site alone and the risk due to homelessness here and fires. So it's the same type of work, however, as the multi-neighborhood project. Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, let's move on to Monterey Vista.
All right.
You're gonna get it all done. I was trying to get us out by 8, so you go.
No, I think we have another hour. So.
Oh, Hans is efficient.
All right, Monterey Vista. MV01 install sidewalk and curb ramp at Mooners Avenue and via Arbolas. This intersection here is southwest intersection. It's roughly 40 feet of curb ramp, again, using that $200 per linear foot. It's roughly $80,000. I'm sorry, 8,000. Yeah, 8. All right. MV02 via Guyuba Walter Colton Drive via Guyuba via Del Pinar traffic calming, estimate of 200,000. Toyon Drive, Dry Creek Road traffic calming, estimate of 30,000. And we've had an in-person meeting, I think, since the last time we met. Yeah, and this is a tough one. MV04 resurfacing, court improvements for the pickleball and tennis courts at Via Paraiso Park, estimate of 30,000. This one was just withdrawn, right? MV05. All right.
Yes.
MV06 San Burnaby Drive road widening and sidewalk. We've recently received the estimate for final design, which was roughly 32,000. Using, if 10% of design is construction, that gets you around 320. And MB07, this was signage at the Moonris and Soledad Drive intersection for freeway, freeway directions for Highway 1. And one last one. Monterey Vista traffic calming plan construction along Mar Vista Drive, Tota Vista Drive, estimate 800,000 to implement improvements. And that's it. And if I didn't say it was 25,000 for the freeway signage.
Okay, open up to the general public for any input or comments, questions. We have Marianne Hartfelt. online. Go ahead, Marianne.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, yes, my name is Marianne Hartfeld. I'm a resident on Via Gayuba, and I submitted the proposal for traffic calming on Via Gayuba. Speeding on our hill has been an issue for myself and many neighbors since I've lived here the past 15 years. As you know, Via Gayuba is a very steep hill. And so it's as if, you know, people kind of feel the need to gun it to get up the hill. And then, of course, going down the hill, increase acceleration. And this issue is worse during school drop-off and pickup times because Via Gayuba is kind of a thoroughfare to get to Monte Vista School and Monterey High School, and now the Monterey Child Development Center. So there's a lot of children that live on the street. There's a lot of families walking to school and children walking home from school. And the Monte Vista School directs traffic from Via Gayuba to Walter Colton Drive. And so during drop-off time, it gets, it gets pretty busy and parents are in a rush to drop off their kids. So there's a few places that are of concern in particular, and that's Via Gayuba and Via Via Del Pinar and Via Gayuba and Walter Colton Drive. I guess there was a study on Walter Colton Drive and Via Gayuba corner to see if there could be a stop sign, which I've heard, I guess, is not going to be approved. So I'm just kind of, we're all wondering what other measures, traffic calming measures can be put into place. Walter Colton Drive is a pretty narrow road, and there's no protection for pedestrians walking up to the school. So when children, groups of children are walking back, and they're often in big groups, and sometimes they're walking out, getting bumped out onto the road, there's no space between the cars and the sidewalk. There's no white line, there's no barrier. So we're just kind of wondering if the city can look into, anything that can be done to help improve the safety for the kids and families. There was a petition that I sent out to neighbors and to parents at the school. We got 66 signatures. So it's a concern, like I said, just for pedestrians mainly. Also, I should mention on Via Gayuba and Via Del Pinar, there's a curve, and that's really where people increase acceleration coming up the hill, and they get really close to that curve, and it's, I don't know if what can be done there, but anything that the city can do to look into improving the safety, even a school zone sign would be nice to get people to just be aware of the fact that there's a lot of kids walking to and from school. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other member of the public. We'll close the public hearing and bring it to the commission. Hans.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you want to speak to something.
I'll speak to a couple of projects, yes. So I've been working with some of the submitters on MV01, the traffic on Via Gayuba, or the sidewalk, the sidewalk in front of the hotel here. I'm not sure where we're going to ask the city attorney. I guess we haven't heard back yet whether we have to build a sidewalk along the whole block or whether we can only build it around the corner.
Yeah, I didn't ask the city attorney. I think we can solve that in-house. I have to get back to you on that.
Okay. Yeah, if the submitter, like I said, is really only looking to get around that little corner, and I know the hotel is kind of is not in favor of at least a sidewalk in front of the whole place, because they feel like they own all the way to almost to the curb. So I don't know exactly without a survey how that exactly works, but if a sidewalk can be put only around the corner, that's really what the submitter is asking for. On MVO, on the MVO2, the traffic calming we just heard about, there's definitely a lot of people are concerned about traffic on that road. It's that steep hill, but it's not only the steep hill, it's this little S curve at the bottom of the steep hill where Via Del Pinar runs into it that causes issues for pedestrians, feel safety, as well as also, I guess, what I learned here, how much speeding there is actually on Walter Colton Drive up to the school where a lot of kids walk. So it would be really, it's been tough to do anything there. And I know that traffic calming plan for our area has an island in that street, which I don't think is, I don't know, we've tried to put islands down on Martin and they've always been nixed by the fire department, but it would be really good to get some neighbors together and talk about it. I know we talked about it at our last meeting, but if we could get neighbors, have a meeting together with traffic engineer and you, I think that would support a lot of the residents up there. MV03, the Dry Creek traffic, yeah, we did meet up there. There is, I think that project may move to a study. Right now, we've asked there to put the speed limit, to put the radar speed trailer out there for a while to get a real idea of what the traffic is, and that'll be happening fairly soon. So this project, what it appears right now from all the residents, will probably turn into a study for that intersection, which was the good part about that is we got all the residents together. There was definitely difference of opinion. The next, Via Paraiso Park improvements there. That is was a project that's been submitted that I can't really get involved in. I guess it's too close to me, but I'll let our alternate as the one who submitted it, and I'll let him talk about it when he has a chance. MV05 has been, as we said earlier, was withdrawn. The MV06, on the road widening on San Burnaby, the submitter has just come back from a funeral, but they will be talking at the next meeting, and there's a lot of support for that project, and the design will be finished. And if the construction estimate is 320, is that for the road and the sidewalk, or was that for complete construction? We had previously phased it, but
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a second look at it, but I would see it. That was for the whole project.
I think that is actually one of the few projects that has come down in price. So
Substantially.
at that, we're not
I'll
going to phase it.
I'll
We'll
make
go
sure
for
to
the whole project.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky project. It's that very narrow road, but there's a lot of neighborhood support for that. And so you'll hear from supporters at the next meeting. So that'll probably be one of the #1 projects. But like I said, we'll be doing a survey in our neighborhood, and we'll get back to that. If the freeway sign entrance was a really old project, I don't see anybody who's really pushing that. That was like from 06 or something. That was really old.
2012.
Well, it was resubmitted. but
Yeah,
it
'cause
was-
it's been around a while.
But anyway, it's been around. I'm not sure. We'll see where that phases, but I don't think there'll be a lot of support from the neighborhood for it. And the last project, the Mar Vista traffic calming phase 1 is, we'll see where that goes. There's been debate about moving that intersection where it was initially designed at Toda Vista to move it down to Via Gayuba, which is another one. And my question for you is that design as far along as the one on Toyon? On Toyon, it was quite detailed, the design, but would the design be fairly ready for that?
I mean, San Burnaby. I don't. I know we're working on the design. It's active for Mar Vista Drive. I couldn't.
Yeah,
I'd have. to
well,
get
it was
back.
on Mar Vista and Via Gayuba, where I think most people think it'd be the best value to slow traffic down. It's just before you go down the big hill.
Right.
The other thing was there was a question on bulb outs, whether bulb outs needed a light. And since there's no electricity at this intersection, this is where all the wiring runs through backyards. Do you still need wiring to go there, and what kind of lighting would be needed? People don't want real overhead lighting. They would prefer, if lighting were needed, to be low bollards or so lighting.
I mean, I don't have any of that information, like
Yep.
specific design information. No, we'd have to work through that.
Okay. But anyway, that's where that project stands, and I'll have, before voting nights, we'll have priorities as well.
Okay. Any other member of the commission have any questions? Jamie?
Did you have one more project to be spoken to before we start?
That was MD08.
Was that it?
Yeah.
No, your alternate?
Oh, he's not here tonight, so we'll see when he does speak on this. And I mean, I've talked to people on the tennis courts, like I said last time, and on the pickleball courts. There's definitely a big mix of support and not support.
Very good. I have 3 questions and they're all technical. MV01, I believe that we have a precedence of never, ever putting any sidewalks on commercial properties, and that's it. So I think we need to clarify.
It was that commercial property pays.
And that was one of the things I sent an email today.
Yep.
And then number 2, we have a precedence of not engineering our own traffic calming. And I know this because I had to pay for a traffic calming study, and then they ran out of money, so they couldn't do the calming. So when I look at MV02, that has to be in a traffic calming plan before we do it, no matter how good an idea it is.
Well, that's where we do have a traffic issue in the traffic calming plan, and it suggests to put an island there in the street. And
this is my question, is that
We'd
we
love an
were not
island there,
allowed to
but-
engineer our own solutions. We had
No,
to stick with the
we need to
plan.
see if the fire department can
There
do
is an
the,
approved, I think there's an approved traffic calming plan for Monterey Vista.
But it has elements that are already predefined and have been
Correct.
discussed and
And one of
evaluated through.
those, and that is a traffic island. One of those at this location.
Okay, but what I
That's what
heard,
it's saying.
okay, so are we asking for the island? Because I thought we were asking for something else that wasn't the island.
well, because islands on Martin were nixed by the fire department, the project is what can we do for traffic calming realistically? So it was broadened to what can we do? So
my
that's why.
suggestion would be, first question would be to the fire department, can we put an island there? Because it might be different conditions to Martin, or
It could be.
it could be, we don't like islands, and in which case then it would need to be a new design element to change the plan there. Or what can we do?
Well, that's all part of, I think that's what residents want, is to figure out what's the best. And that's, I think the project is for us to figure out what can and can't be done, given that the traffic, the
And
old
that, and
traffic.
that's what we did in my neighborhood, is we said, okay, well, then we'll take it back and we'll get the official figure out. And then we'll go forward once we've figured it out. But now here's my 3rd question. So I heard at the last meeting on MV06 that 6 out of 10 were in favor of this. And my question is, if it's in the traffic calming plan, then we don't have to get specific approval of the affected residences? And I just simply.
On
don't.
this, on
Yes,
MV06,
is not
there's,
traffic calming.
it's not a real traffic calming project.
It's why.
MV06 is a
Oh.
sidewalk installation.
But in order to do the sidewalk, you've got to widen the road to have a place to do the sidewalk.
Yeah. Well, you got to widen the road to, I mean, it's really a 1.5 lane road, as you can see. It's,
Been around for a while.
you have to make the street, legal to begin with. So the street needs to be widened, and because you're doing something on the street, you got to make the street legal.
All right, then that does just fall into whatever our rules are about who has to approve it.
Yeah, it's not a real, I wouldn't call this a traffic calming. In fact, probably cars will drive a little faster once they have a real lane and they don't have to worry about head-on collisions.
Okay, Tom.
Just on traffic calming, we had the consultant come in and spend all these recommendations in our neighborhood. And we have curves and hills and limited visibility. And what we found out, they don't make sense. And we said, no, we turned them down because it would actually make it more difficult with the curves where now it's open, you can see in all directions. So you have to be very careful because the traffic calming guy only looks at things in two dimensions. And that's what we found out. And we just couldn't get him to look at it and drive the neighborhood and see what we were talking about.
No,
So I just caution you,
the
that's what
actual
we found
traffic
out.
engineer was on site at the meeting with Reggie
Yeah.
and the residents,
But
and
we
they were all
found out
quite,
that we had to turn down what the traffic calming expert told us,
yeah.
that we should love this. No, we didn't love it.
No, I think at this meeting, Reggie can attest, I think the residents were really happy with what the designer
Good luck.
from Whitson, right, talked about.
Ray, you're talking about San Burnaby Drive. Yes.
Yeah, San
They-
Burnaby,
yeah,
right.
yeah, They were very, yes. I think everyone was pleased. Yeah. In that instance.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about San Burnaby. I don't know if you were
No, I
talking.
was talking about where you're trying to put islands up where you have Mar Vista.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You have limited visibility. You can't really see. You have an open intersection, you start putting things in the intersection, that's things they hit.
Okay. It's a tough intersection when we're trying to look at for solutions. Yeah.
Okay, Dennis.
Just for clarification on what are the costs on MV06, design is 32 and construction is 320. So
And that was my, like, let's say back of the envelope. But I'll go back and reconfirm it. But yes, I do know that the final design number is 32,000. I have that.
so it really
Or
would
the
be a
remaining, yeah.
total of 352,000 rather than 320.
Okay.
And Mike Dennis telling me.
I'll add.
It's going to be a lot more than that when he
I'll
goes
add
back and
another 30.
relooks.
I'll
We've
double
had
check it.
estimates here before that were.
Okay.
I'll double check it.
Lee.
Islands don't work unless you've got a really wide street to do with it. El Dorado in our neighborhood is a perfect example. It's a winding street and with islands and they still speed through in there. I have a question for Reggie on MV7. $250,000 for two signs or one sign? One sign. Is it-
25.
25, not 250.
It's 25,000. Okay, my mistake. I was gonna say, is it gold? Thanks.
Platinum.
Can we do that in-house?
I don't know the answer to that. We'll have to look into it.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? I don't see any hands raised online. Which case we're done with item 3. Let's move on to item 4, Windermere Canyon projects discussion.
Yes, so this was a specific request at the end of last meeting. So I guess just for everyone's general background, Windermere Canyon is a drainage item in Skyline, Monterey Vista, in that hilly area. Over the years, the city has done some improvements, as you can see here, what we call log drops. And there's some other items in this area, and then there's places where there's nothing. So in 2020, there were 3 projects on the books with a value of roughly, we'll say $840,000 to do some work, repairs and improvements in the canyon. All these projects, the funds were taken and the projects closed in April of 2020 as a result of the city council resolution to take the funds for city services and operation. Between the last 2 years prior NCIP rounds, 23 and 24, the committee approved 2 projects, a larger one for $675,000. We've used some funds to date and then 150,000 most recently last year, which current totals about 823,000. So we've restored roughly 98,000 of that funding. And so that's where we are with the projects. And so it's here for, I guess, for discussion. As I said, it was specifically requested. So that's this report.
Dennis, I believe you're the one who requested this, so.
My concern is the committee members, including myself, put in a lot of time on these projects to figure out how they should go and what should be done. Jeff Krebs and I walked the lower canyon, and at the time it was 30 feet of fill in areas that would be necessary to bring it back up to grade. 30 feet of fill, which has continued to be washed out, which is starting to create erosion, which is starting to impinge on houses in which the neighbors in this neighborhood are very concerned that their house is going to go into the ditch. If we had attended to this project when we had pressed it as an NCIP project over the period of time that we did the various pieces of funding to get it at 273,000 a clip for 3 rounds and 75,000 for a design study, we might have addressed this before it washed out to where it is today, in which the residents are worried about their houses going into the ditch. We as commissioners for the city council don't have the power to make those decisions, but we have spent the time and concern and hours studying these things. And I feel it's disrespect to the work that we do on behalf of the city to not have been asked, inquired about what we know, and what we as their agents have been spending time to study and understand and make proper suggestions to city council on what should be done. I don't think we're being respected. I don't think that they're understanding the resources and time that we put in to try to do the best for our city. And I think if we had done those projects when they were approved, we probably wouldn't have a $2.5 million hole. That is, I understand it, the city is now saying, act of God, they're not going to do anything.
Okay. Any questions, comments by Commissioner Jamie?
So point of clarification, we had looked at it and done work on the upper, and then we had work on the lower to do. What I see here is the numbers may add up to be about the same, but this is not working in the same place.
Precisely my point. We took the money for a different problem and diverted it. The problem that we foresaw that needed to be addressed was the lower side. Federally, we're not allowed to be silting the federal ocean. We are. If we have a ditch that's 30 feet deep at the time when Krebs and I walked it, which is, I don't remember how long ago, we are doing a fair amount of silting. We're trying to address that. Now, on the other side, and on defense of the city side, I forget who the body is, the Gabion baskets on the top side aren't allowed. So now we got to figure out a different way to do it. That caused that to get tremendously expensive. Is that a problem on the project needing to get contingency funds? Or is that, let's go grab funds from a different project with a different intent and just take those funds to take care of that other side? My objection is we should have been asked for contingency fund relief to deal with the upper side, and we should have dealt with the lower side because we foresaw that that was a problem. We voted on that that was a problem. We passed the funds to address that problem, and that was ignored. We spent a lot of effort and time doing that. And as such, on behalf of City Council, we do that to help them out with what the priorities ought to be. Maybe we should be asked before they take it away and change where it's going, because that means we didn't address the problem that we had voted on and approved, that this is what we are recommending to City Council to do. And that's why I wanted to bring it up. So to me, it's very much like the same thing that he went on about a little while ago about making decisions on behalf of other people without talking to them.
Now I'm really confused. We had money for Lower Canyon that was funded, taken away. We've had 2 new projects funded. What were those for? As it relates to, was those in effect fixing the things that we had taken away, or you're saying they're totally different, unrelated projects? And we're kind of saying they're related here on the screen.
The intention is not that they were related. The upper side
Was a whole unrelated thing,
unrelated
project.
thing.
Okay.
It's a previous project. It was something that needed repair. The lower side, because it goes in a pipe underneath the roadway and it's downhill and you can't see it, is eroding more drastically than the upper side. And the $1 million or so, just less than $1 million that was put away through multiple voting cycles for the lower side.
Only 150,000 has been refunded.
Right.
Okay.
And now it's just a design study, which it was a design study perhaps as much as 12 years ago when we got through 75,000 for a design study for that.
So basically saying it's not a fair thing to say that in effect we refunded 98% of that original project.
No,
That is not correct.
in essence, we moved 673,000 off of a project which was intended to take care of a different problem. From the same body of water.
Or
but a
another way
different
to
section.
put it is, we funded a new project. We have not refunded the original project.
Right. And the reason I raise that objection is because those funds were taken in the emergency exercise and should be on the table for votable projects.
It should have been automatically come back on the.
Should
wall.
automatically
Okay.
come back, in my opinion.
All right.
And we still have the problem of great erosion, upset neighbors, et cetera. In fact, we had a NCIP meeting that we were supposed to have that the city attorney turned off on this issue, in which there were many residents who were here, because I came to the meeting and I didn't notice it was canceled, who were upset about the potential erosion behind their house. Okay. And I fought long and hard to get that set up so we could fix it.
Any other comments or things on this agenda item? And basically, I think it's too late to have it on the wall for this, but I'd like to see it on the wall for the next one, even though we were not going to be bringing back automatically those defunded projects. But
Happy to resubmit it, but it'd be a great year to put it in when we found magically $4.8 million. Magically delicious. It's Lucky Charms.
actually, Reggie, what I would like is can we add it to the list? Because it should have been on the list as one of the defunded projects coming back. Hasn't. Are we able to add it to the list, or does that cause us legal issues?
I don't know. I guess I'll add it to.
I'm asking as a way for you to.
Yeah, I'll add.
We
the
need to find
question.
out.
In essence, it is not, the funding was taken to fund a different problem.
It's exactly the project that was defunded has not been brought back and funded and should have been on the wall, is basically what we're saying. Well, let's call it oversight. Let's call it confusion of terminology. Let's call it whatever we want to do it. Reality is it hasn't been funded. It needed to be on the wall for funding. Basically what I would agree. I mean, the Upper Windermere Log Drop is a good project. It needs to be done too. But Tom, go
A
ahead.
quick comment. I was up looking at properties, Skyline Drive. I used to live on 530 Dry Creek Circle. And I can tell you the number of trees that are down. I question the item that's in the list for tree removal. I think it's underestimated because I cannot believe the vegetation, the difference over 30 years, 35 years when I lived up there versus the overgrowth and vegetation that's there all throughout Skyline Forest. I couldn't believe it when I drove by there last weekend. It's incredible.
It is something else. In the storm last year, in the green belt that's there by Pine Hill Way, I watched 12 trees hit each other and go down at the same time. And we dodged a bullet last year because there were 85-mile-an-hour winds off our coast that were expected to come in. And the damage that was done up there in Skyline to the trees was with 50 to maybe 60-mile-an-hour winds. 85 would have probably dusted the hills up a lot. As it was this year in February, Skyline Drive was closed 15 times from down trees. The forest is in disrepair and it needs more. The CAL FIRE, I believe the city got a CAL FIRE grant for $750,000 to work on the trees, as well as what we put in last year. So they always need funding. And as you guys have listened to me for years, we need more funding for the trees because every year I put it in. And so, yeah, it's not in great shape. The previous forester said these trees are good for 200 years. They're good for about
Okay.
100.
We're kind of getting into commissioner comments now and away from the Windermere Vale. So, okay, we'll have a second. We're about ready to move to that. So let's move to commissioner comments. Go ahead.
Well, I did have,
Oh, okay.
so all right, I have a couple slides, but I'll make it quick. All right, so since our last meeting, we actually completed 2 more projects. The
Oh,
spray-
so this is my report I'm giving, huh? Okay.
Yes, I'm helping you out.
Thank you.
Two projects, the Spray Avenue tot lot was resurfaced on April 12th and Laguna Grande Park parking lot lights were installed on April 19th. And as Esther said, we actually powered the lights on Tuesday. 61, so now we're at a count of 61 projects with a budget roughly 10.7 million. We're working on 16 right now. And here are the photos, Spray Avenue tot lot and the poles for the lights at Laguna Grande Park. So currently, we're working on, which we've been talking about just now, forest management's ongoing. The old Capitol site, there was a meeting just last night or 2 nights ago this week. We had city, as we know, city councils approved the ALPRs and that's moving forward. We're still working on scheduling construction for Veterans Park, the west parking lot, where we have water bottle refills stations on order. We're ready to move forward with Casa Verde Rec Trail crossing as soon as we get those proposals in. Designing on Mark Thomas Drive, at the bike path, facility. Colton Hall, San Burnaby Drive, which we've spoken about earlier this evening. The Webster Camino El Estero, we're getting some traction on that one. Let's see what else. And then as we talked about Mar Vista, that's also under design. All right, so then what has come up here a couple times, we have, as of right now, we have 3 projects that are on hold. As I talked about earlier, the public restroom study, Casa Verde Way, Highway 1 murals, and the Ryan Ranch pickleball court design.
Hold on a second. Now, the Casa Verde Way Highway 1 mural, the mural was taken out of that project.
Right.
It was
okay.
beautifying underneath. So I suggest what keeps raising hackles with the city manager and others, he keeps talking about the mural. There is no mural funded.
Okay.
So let's stop talking about it. It's beautifying the area underneath with hardscape and other aspects. So let's call it what it is instead of what it isn't. Which all it succeeds to do is give the city manager a reason to bash NCIP.
And so that's that. Just one more reminder on there's still 5 individuals that have not responded about reapplying or not for NCIP Commission. So if you're interested, you have until May 3rd, which is a little over a week.
Are you counting me as one of those five?
No, we're not
Okay,
counting
good,
you.
because I.
We got
I-
your,
Make sure.
we got
Okay.
your application, so there's 5 additional people. So if you're interested, you have until May 3rd to submit your application.
Yeah,
Um,
you can do it all online.
and then, so that's it. So those, that's all I have for this evening.
If you got a confirmation of your electronic submission, then you wouldn't be one of those 5.
If you'd like to know who the 5 are, you can come. I can tell you, but you're not one of the 5.
Okay.
Okay.
I have, yes, you're not one of the 5.
Okay.
Hey,
You are one of the 5.
Reggie, this is AJ Purdy from Aguajito Oaks. One of the things I noticed in one of the emails that was distributed is that Aguajito Oaks is currently looking for a representative and not an alternate.
Correct.
I am the representative though, and I just got appointed last year. And I was curious if that could be updated or if there's a discrepancy on my appointment currently.
Sorry, Adam, your official position is alternate. So if you would like to be the representative, I think you have to make that request. You can send an email to city clerk, but yeah, you're officially the alternate.
Without having a representative.
Correct. The representative position is vacant
Okay.
and you are officially the alternate.
So I need to reapply is my interpretation of what you're saying, or?
I would reach out to the city clerk, but that's my understanding as well. Yes.
Hey, Adam, this is Chineri. I was in the same position. I was the alternate and I did have to reapply formally to be the rep. So I think that probably will be expected.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Okay, I don't have anything else on my spokesperson report, so we'll go to commissioner comments. Al at the end and then Dennis. And then
Couple
Lee and
items.
then. Hey,
What do we get for our fuel reduction dollar? I mean, what do they physically do? Some guy runs around with a weed eater, someone chops up a tree. I drive Skyline kind of routinely, and there are tree trunks that are rotting. That takes a few years to get that far. Are we not doing enough? Do we next year spend every single dollar we got just on reduction? Because Mother Nature's time is clicking, and when she goes to do fuel reduction, you better not be bumping into any of these traffic calming things. You'll be sorry. But what do we get? What do they physically do?
I physically saw the CAL FIRE crews out with weed eaters and chainsaws and whatever was needed to do that they were told to do. The CAL FIRE, I guess, penal crew, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope they cut it while it's green before it turns brown.
Well, no guarantee of that. I think we even at times in the past had goats working the hard to do areas, but now my understanding statewide with goats, you have to book them years in advance. And it's actually a good business to get into because the state will subsidize you for it.
We had goats approved and the city blew it and didn't get the request in time.
Yeah, no, I
So
said
we
it's-
lost those funds.
the state does grants for starting up businesses. If you want to go into the goat fire clearing business, they're looking for them big time. Because they use them in throughout the state and state parks and other places too. It's a real efficient way to clear brush in hard to get areas.
Okay, so you don't have to listen to my diatribe.
Pebble Beach has them. They use them. They use them for
All the
months.
city
straight.
arborists, and the city has a contract with the company that's WAC. And I've seen them all over the city, cutting and taking and doing.
They do a great job.
Well, they missed some trees up there.
Too many trees.
So you don't have to listen to my diatribe. I'll just give the key words. Paradise, California.
I have an employee who lost his house in Paradise. So I'm sensitive to it. Dennis?
Skip me. I was just gonna say,
Oh.
I think he might have something to say.
Are you going, Bud?
Oh, well, no, I saw his hand go up.
Okay.
I was going, but let's go around the corner. So go ahead, Hans.
I had one question regarding the withdrawn project of buying a piece of land. What is our property purchase or land purchase idea these days, or our fund for opportunity buying that we
There is.
used to have? Do we want to
Could we do it?
Do we
Yes.
want to redo that? I think that's worthwhile, something to talk about at some point, whether we want
I
to
think
put
we
some
should
money
have
in that.
discussion at a future meeting.
Yep, I think
yeah.
that would be a good idea.
In the
about
past,
that
it was done as projects, though. We would do it as a project to put the money in.
Yeah.
In the past.
In the
Well-
past, it was always for a specific thing, and then when it became available, we did it for tot lots, we've done it for community centers. But it was never just a pot of money sitting there for buying
Okay.
something.
It
in
was,
general.
for the Del Monte Beach, it was.
Well, it was find a location in Del Monte to buy it.
No, it was, we bought a third of the vacant space in the open dunes
Okay.
without
That was a
identifying it in
different one. That was
advance.
different. Okay. In general, it's had an idea of what it's for, and it's not just a generic money sitting there.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, I think, yeah,
I have two things. We Ain't Paradise. I started an initiative I started it through RHOA, which got pushed to the fire department, which got pushed to the city manager, which became the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Because I said, if we get grants, if we get a wildfire protection plan, then we can go get grants to help us satisfy the needs in the forest. And that was the intent. Gowden's worked very hard on that, and the new chief is following up on that. But we got it from the ground up. If people are busy, if people are thinking, if people are working in behalf of the community, they can get things done. That was my first one, and working with Gowden's a lot. The humidity in the brush that burnt in Paradise was 3%. The humidity in ours is about 60%. And pretty much anywhere around our community, if you pick up the dander on the ground, you can get salamanders because it's that moist. So would we burn like Paradise? No. Can we burn? Yes. Do we need a wildfire protection plan? Of course. Second question, Reggie. Could I get this? Could you send out like an Excel document or something that we could print out to make it bigger? Because this is like, I need my bifocals or something, and I already have progressives.
I will send out a printable document.
For the good of the order, I think that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Lee?
you were also going to send out a Excel sheet with all the existing documents?
Thank you.
Yeah. Two, thanks.
Lee?
Reggie, I asked Parker for the larger print, and he told me I had to pay for it. They have
Well, I
it.
mean, I'll send an
over at
email, a
Copycat.
file. Yeah, we don't I will send a file that you can print. Yes.
Okay. Everybody's talking about the undergrounding, and we're gonna have to vote on it pretty soon. The meeting is Monday night at 6:30 to 7:30 at Kona. From my understanding and the information I'm getting, I'm gonna be there because I wanna learn more about it and I want to get educated. PG&E supposedly is signed on with us that's what I'm hearing. So I'm going to go find out. There's been conversation of do one neighborhood at a time. And I guess there's a law now that they can't do it. The city you have to do the whole city when you're doing the undergrounding. So come out Monday night to the community center at Kona, 6:30 to 7:30. I don't know if it's going to be televised. They haven't televised any Parks and Rec stuff that we've had it. And good. We've all been listening to it for years. Let's get educated to the current information. So that'll help us with our voting. Thank you.
Barry?
When we first started up, I suggested that maybe we should have a study session with the new city council and mayor so they can understand in more detail this process. And the reason I said that is because my neighborhood was accused of spending money on putting in wooden walkways. We didn't put those in, the city didn't put those in, but NIP has been maintaining them. And I think that's really important, and that's not understood. I'm getting a lot of feedback from my neighborhood about the unhappiness of what they're hearing being said about NCIP outside of the NCIP rooms. I gotta say it again, I think a study session, we're all together, we're all talking, we're all understanding. There's no rumors, there's no misunderstandings. I think it would be very beneficial to have a conversation so that we can tone down the discussions and the misrepresentations and figure out how to prioritize together.
Good night, Tom.
I'll be here for the May 9th meeting, but on the 11th, I get on the Big Bird for Hawaii and I don't return till the 30th of May. So
Life's tough, Tom.
I'll see you May 9th.
Okay, go on.
No comment.
Okay, Richard.
I have a couple comments. One, the fuel reduction. I agree with everybody's comments. I've discussed with Louis about increasing the budget. I'm concerned that the money, the amount put in is not enough. The city is able to do more with subcontractors. So I encourage the city staff to increase that amount. I think this is the year we can make this city safer. And I think they underfunded what we can do. And I think it should be more. So I believe staff can increase that if the proposer agrees to that. But the second point I want to make is my disappointment tonight. I'm very and have been very concerned about, we got almost 30,000 people in town, and every year a dozen people say, I want to put a restroom here, I want to put a restroom there. I want to build it with lumber. I want to build it with concrete. I want to do a Portland loo. No, I don't want one Portland loo. I want 2, 3, 4. And we're trying to make a decision. We will on voting night on $3 million with the restrooms. Whether they're in the right place, whether they're big enough for the demand or too big, we don't know. How can we do our job properly? And here is the problem. We're told tonight that the restroom study is dead. And I want to remind everybody about the future of NCIP. It was started by a vote of the people that changed the city charter of the city of Monterey. The way the process works is anybody can propose a project. We review them. We have hours of testimony and public comments and staff studying it for us. When we come to a conclusion, we make a recommendation, good, bad, or ugly. It goes to the city council. Staff has full opportunity to form the city council in every project. So does management. And then all of a sudden, we're vetoed by management. Where does that say it in the city charter? If the city council passes a project, it should be staff's responsibility to do their best to build it, or to go back to the city council and ask for a change. So I don't know how to vote on voting night when I don't get the answers on whether it should be stick built, concrete built, 1, 2, 3, or 4, or where it should be built, or if it should be built. But as the citizens propose it, we vote on it, we put the money into it, we devote millions of dollars, and then later management cancels it or stalls it for years. This process isn't working the way NCIP works, and I believe it's a total misunderstanding of the charter and the responsibilities of this committee, management, and the new city council. And I concur with Jamie. I hear these rumors too. I hear the referendums to change the charter, change this committee, to take this money and spend it on other purposes. I want to do things legally. I want to follow my responsibility. And I don't know if it jeopardizes our reapplication for our positions, but I'm going to do the best job I can. I want to manage the money as best I can, and I want to get the largest effect that benefits the residents of the city. And this killing that study without going to the council, to me, I don't know how to vote on these projects now. At least our staff is there to advise us. If they're told not to advise us, we're just shooting in the dark here. And we don't even know if the projects are going to be done. We have a very large budget this year. We have a lot of projects. I hope we spend them on things that benefit the community the most. And for me, that one of the highest priorities is that forest. And I agree with everybody, a whole lot more needs to be done, but I am told by the park staff, they can handle it. And if they can handle it, let's do more. The boundaries and whether our projects are respected or not, this is bothering me a great deal. I've been on this committee since day one. I don't know how long I'm going to last, and I don't know if I'm going to be reappointed, but I'm going to do the best job I can while I'm here. And this bothers me a lot. And at some point, we need as a committee to take a formal stand and discuss this with the people that are canceling what we're doing out. And my feeling is the charter's explicit. The council's the only body by majority vote that can cancel a project. And by rights, they should. We need a backup. We need checks and balances. But what's happening here is unprecedented in our history of NCIP. It's never been done like this. It's been done quietly. It's called slow-mo. You don't want to do it, push it to the back of your desk. But that's not why this process is supposed to work. So I'm disappointed and disrespected like everybody else here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Kurt and then Chenier. Kurt, go ahead.
Hang on, there we go, sorry. So Reggie, I'm not one of the five, right? The other thing is, after listening to everybody, I kind of agree with Richard and everyone else. Having the city cancel a project without the council seems to be going against what the NCIP charter says. Has anybody reached out to the city attorney and asked her for her opinion of what just happened?
No, but I think we should.
Something you could do, Rick?
I can do that.
Okay, I think we should get her opinion about what just happened, I think.
Okay.
Other than that, that's it. Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
Chenier?
Yeah, I just want to echo everything that's been said. I 100% agree. I think if there is a solution, and what Jamie mentioned about having a study session with City Council, just to explain what we do and for them to appreciate how much time and effort everybody puts in to participating in this and speaking to residents, listening to comments. It is really discouraging. And I can say, as someone who is newer to this committee, there have been times that I wonder if it's worth it. Because if we're doing all this work and then it could just be tossed to the side as if like we didn't do anything, it's discouraging. And I wonder if that also would discourage people from wanting to apply for city commissions, especially people who may be younger or newer to this process. So it is really discouraging. And I have had thoughts of, do I want to keep doing this if it's always going to feel like there's tension between city staff or city council, and it's, we're volunteering our time. This is something we're doing because we care about our city. And so it doesn't feel good. So I'll just say that. But yeah, I just wanted to echo everything that was said with by Jamie and Richard.
Okay, thank you, Chenier. Now, I'm seeing that Lori Mazuka has her hand up. I'm not sure what it's concerning, Lori, but that we are long past any of the public hearings, so that's why I have not been calling on you. So I'm sorry, but it's not a time for that at this point. I will go, my commissioner comments, I want to echo a lot of what has already been said. I think we should increase the amount for fuel reduction. I think also, I just want to make sure by nod of heads that we got consensus for me to contact the city attorney regarding the projects that have been put on hold, decided not to happen, whatever we call it. I don't know any of those have a formal action by the city council. Is that a correct statement, Reggie? Or is that?
I mean, as far as I know, yeah, I would
Okay.
agree with that.
Okay, that's because it's not a project approved and funded by the city council is a project until such time as it's not. Now, there's always the gray area of, as Richard put it, which we've had a lot of in the past, of slow walking, it just doesn't happen. But this is the first time we're actually being told, no, the city manager is putting them on hold. So and people have been told directly that that's the case. So I will go ahead then and make contact with Ms. Davi and indicate our legal concerns about what's happening currently. I had a few other things, but they slipped out of my feeble brain, and so they obviously weren't that important. Okay, so if nothing else, then in which case we're adjourned.